Chapter 275. Although Chen Daoxian was impatient, he always knew the reason why people are too many. Just rushing into the chaotic atmosphere in such a grand manner will definitely be regarded as a monster by other monks. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian sent a voice transmission to Fairy Qiao, expressing that he wanted to leave the true immortal origin realm alone. As soon as Fairy Qiao appeased the Jiang family cultivator, she heard Chen Daoxian's terrifying words, and quickly said, "Chen Daoyu, returning to the ruins from the source realm is no trivial matter, not to mention that it is a real immortal level source realm. There is no small transfer order, it's up to you. It's hard to break through with the current cultivation base." Seemingly thinking of something, Fairy Qiao frowned and said, "Don't you want to go out with the Michin banner?" Immediately, she shook her head again. Although Michin Fan is also good at teleportation, he can only move in one realm and cannot teleport across realms. Have you thought about it clearly? I have never seen such a death. Fairy Qiao felt helpless. But Chen Daoxian can't take care of this. If he is asked to give up the fat in front of him, he will regret it to death. Chen Daoxian smiled and said, "Fairy, don't worry, I will save it." Seeing Chen Daoxian's insistence, Fairy Qiao opened her mouth and swallowed the words of persuasion that came to her mouth. After Chen Daoxian finished speaking, he turned to look at Chen Fusheng, who was beside him with a look of excitement. Seeing Chen Daoxian looking at him, Chen Fusheng quickly bowed and said, "Young Patriarch." Just now, the young Patriarch and Fairy Qiao joined forces to show their might, all of which were seen by him. Chen Fusheng did not expect that the young Patriarch not only did not die, but his strength was so strong that he could not guess. He is very much looking forward to how the Chen family will develop with Chen Daoxian, a powerhouse comparable to the middle stage of Jindan. The development speed of the Chen family is gradually slowing down, which is not the original intention of the Chen family, but the strength of the Chen family or the lack of force. For example, the industrial fairy city plan proposed by Chen Daoxian, the currency unification plan of Guang'an Prefecture and even Sangzhou, etc. These plans all depended on the Chen family's force. With insufficient force, if the Chen family rushes forward with these plans, they are simply courting death. But if the Chen family's force is strong enough, these plans will only speed up the development and growth of the Chen family. Chen Fusheng, a senior member of the Chen family, is very clear about this truth. Chen Daoxian looked at Chen Fusheng with an excited face, patted the other party's shoulder hard, and praised, "Yes, it's actually the Zifu period." When Chen Fusheng heard this compliment, he seemed to remember something, and quickly touched the storage bag on his waist and handed it over. "Young Patriarch, look." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian took the storage bag. With a slight scan of his consciousness, he found that Chen Fusheng's storage bag contained more than a dozen jade crystal bottles filled with vitality essence. See this scene. Chen Daoxian's mouth twitched slightly. He understood what Chen Fusheng meant. Emotional Chen Fusheng keeps these essences of vitality and intends to honor himself. Seeing this, Chen Daoxian was deeply relieved. Chen Fusheng didn't feel distressed for this child. He was much more conscientious than Chen Daochu, who would cry with him all day long. However, Chen Fusheng probably didn't know how much vitality essence he had in his hand. Cough cough. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian couldn't help coughing. Now I can guess that he stole the essence of vitality from the hands of the monks in the 3 states, and it is estimated that Fairy Qiao is the only one. Because only she knows her relationship with Qi Tong's master and servant. As for the others, they thought that the essence of vitality was robbed by the demons of the Qingqiu demon nation. This pot, Chen Daoxian is destined to not admit it. Anyway, it was Qi Tong who did it. As for the essence of vitality in his hand, he captured it from the world demon. Right. That's it. Of course, no matter what, he didn't plan to sell this batch of vitality essence to the outside world. The Chen family had no shortage of spirit stones. This kind of rare good thing must be digested within the family. Seeing Chen Fusheng presenting the treasure, Chen Daoxian handed back the storage bag, shook his head and said, "This is what you harvested by yourself, you can keep it, you don't have to give it to me." Young Patriarch. Chen Fusheng wanted to say something, but Qin Daoxian interrupted, "But you have to remember that although the essence of vitality is good, it is not suitable for you to use it again, understand?" Qin Fusheng nodded quickly. Fusheng understands. Qin Fusheng was of course aware that his Dao realm was not keeping up with his cultivation. Misusing the essence of vitality will only lead to further widening the gap between his cultivation and realm, which is not good for breaking through to the golden core stage in the future. Ordinary monks probably can't handle this. For ordinary cultivators, if they can have the essence of vitality to quickly improve their cultivation, they must seize this opportunity. After all, the essence of vitality is not only rare, but also difficult to store. After this village, there is no such shop. As for the realm of the Great Tao, can it be a problem? Don't you see how many cultivators in the world of Shou Xian who can't keep up with the cultivation realm of Zifu? Even Zhou Mingho, the current patriarch of the Zhou family of Guang'an Mansion, was one of them, not to mention the ordinary cultivator of the Purple Mansion. For the cultivators of Zifu, the realm of the Great Tao can keep up with their cultivation, which is only something that very few elite Zifu can do. Generally, the monks who can do this will basically be listed on the Zifu Tianjiao list when their cultivation base reaches the late stage of Zifu, and they will become candidates for Jin Dan Jinren. Now Qin Fusheng is a little worse. His Kendo realm has only reached the second peak, and has not yet reached the third realm. This step seems to be simple, but in fact it has stumped countless people. Even Zhou Mingho, the ancestor of the Zhou family, is stuck in this step, and has not been able to save it for nearly 100 years. Fusheng. Exist. You go out with Fairy Qi Yao and Xianling later, and I'll leave later. Hearing this, Qin Fusheng was startled. Young patriarch, you want to? Qin Daoxian shook his head, fixed his eyes on him and said, just obey the order. Yes. Fusheng will obey the law. Qin Fusheng bowed his hands. Seeing this, Qin Daoxian nodded, then looked at Fairy Qi Yao, and cupped his hands. My junior, I will leave it to Fairy to take care of me. Fairy Qi Yao nodded, don't worry. Just when Qin Daoxian instructed to explain, the portal to the heavens had been completely swallowed up by the Qi of chaos. It was as if that space was missing an opening, and the surroundings of this opening were filled with the air of chaos. After devouring the portal of the heavenly realm, the speed of returning to the ruins of the real immortal source realm suddenly increased. Seeing this, Jiang Chenai said with a bit of anger, I don't have time to pursue the enemy, but there is plenty of time to grind here. After hearing this, Qin Daoxian glanced at him and said, Friend Jiang Dao, I have 2 Dao laws in my hands. You can talk to me after you think about it. Hearing this, Jiang Qinyes' expression froze. He understood what Qin Daoxian meant. The laws of the Great Tao in the true immortal origin realm are very mysterious, and even after being made into a stone tablet, they cannot be preserved forever. Generally, this kind of treasure can only be used by a cultivator with a high level of cultivation. The Tao realm of the Jindan cultivator is not enough, let alone the Zifu cultivator. Therefore, the 2 avenue stone tablets in Qin Daoxian's hands are destined to be shot. Jiang Chenai was really unwise to speak wildly to Qin Daoxian at this time. However, Jiang Chenai lost too much on this trip. Not only did his younger brother break here, but he also took away the Tao law of the Qingqiu demon country. It means that he didn't get anything in this trip, and he also lost his younger brother's life and a precious Dongtian artifact. He can still maintain his sanity now, which is already considered an extraordinary mind. Okay, don't say a word. Fairy Qiao reprimanded lightly, everyone stand and concentrate, I will use a small transfer order to send everyone out. Hearing this, everyone moved towards Fairy Qiao. But Qin Daoxian stepped back a lot. Brother Qin. Daoxian. The cultivators of the Zifu in Sangzhou looked at Qin Daoxian in horror, not knowing why he was backing away. Qin Daoxian did not explain, only showed a smile. Immediately, everyone was teleported out by the small transfer order only. Fairy Qiao. You. Qin Daoxian frowned, why are you staying? Seeing that the small movement order sent everyone out, Fairy Qiao breathed a sigh of relief. She took off her protective body armor and showed an attractive figure. Qiao gently pulled the hair around her ear, and said coquettishly, "I have to look at you, you forgot, my uncle's way. Is the stone tablet still in your hands? Hear this." Only then did Chen Daoxian react. He quickly took out the Avenue stone tablet from the storage bag and handed it over in the air. But Fairy Qiao didn't take it, and instead handed it back. "You are..." Chen Daoxian did not understand. Fairy Qiao raised her head. "What I give out is usually not taken back." At this moment, Chen Daoxian's eyes were finally a little bad. Fairy should understand that spying on other people's secrets is not a good habit. Fairy Qiao shook her head, her eyes clear. "I have no intention of spying on your secrets, but I don't want you to die." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian's guard in his heart dropped a little. It was the fear of his death. However, he still felt that the other party was a little busy. Chaos Chi is dangerous to others, but is it dangerous to him? He knows the golden scriptures in the sea and likes this stuff, as much as he comes. But think carefully. Fairy Qiao's worries are not without reason. The golden scriptures can absorb all the chaotic energy, Chen Daoxian believed. But he is not sure whether his sea of consciousness can hold so much comprehension stardust fed back by the energy of chaos. He still had a fresh memory of the last time when comprehension stardust almost burst through the sea of knowledge. Maybe Fairy Qiao's staying is not entirely a bad thing. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian looked at her and said, "Keep it a secret from me." "Must." Fairy Qiao nodded. Seeing this, Chen Daoxian stopped talking nonsense and flew straight to the location of the original portal to the heavens. As time goes by, everything in the true immortal origin realm is collapsing towards the point of the portal to the heavenly realm. And as this point collapsed, countless chaotic energy surged out, almost dyeing the space at the portal of the heavens into pitch black. In the face of such a pure chaos chi, the golden scriptures in Chen Daoxian's sea of knowledge trembled violently. Perceiving the other party's excitement, Chen Daoxian murmured, "Suck it, more, this kind of good opportunity will not be available in the future." Next moment, a large piece of chaos chi rushed towards Chen Daoxian from the most central point, directly wrapping Chen Daoxian into a gray man. It is the negative effect of the golden scriptures madly sucking the chi of chaos. But if you look closely, you will find that these chaos chi did not touch Chen Daoxian's body at all, and were only blocked by a transparent film at a position less than 3 inches away from his body. Chen Daoxian, who has absorbed the chi of chaos many times, knows that this is the golden scripture protecting his body. This is also the confidence that he dares to stay in the true immortal origin realm, which is in the state of returning to the ruins. On the side, Fairy Qiao saw Chen Daoxian rushing directly into the aura of chaos, and was so frightened that her small mouth opened into an O shape. She didn't feel relieved until she saw that Chen Daoxian was unscathed. "I see," Fairy Qiao thought thoughtfully, "is it using the chi of chaos to cultivate special magical powers?" In the world of immortals, the conditions for monks to cultivate magical powers are different. Some are based on the understanding of monks, while others need to cherish treasures. The chi of chaos is obviously a special treasure. It's just that due to the existence of the world demon, the chi of chaos is not precious. Generally, apart from building and expanding the cave, the Jiuan orb is actually not very useful. As far as Fairy Qiao knows, because Qianyuan Jianzong fought for a long time in the two realms and the real demon realm thousands of years ago, the Jiuan beads accumulated by the sect have already accumulated into a mountain. In order to use these Jiuan's waste, Qianyuan Jianzong not only created countless small caves in the current sect location, but also refined various special caves in the refining hall. For example, the large transport ship owned by the Shuxian clan in Sangzhou is one of them. However, the development of these special instruments has only consumed the tip of the iceberg of the origin pearl in the sect. But even if it is stored, Qianyuan Jianzong is reluctant to sell Jia Yuanzhu to the outside world. Because once this stuff spreads, the prices of all kinds of Dongtian instruments sold by Qianyuan Jianzong will collapse. You must know that the heavenly cave artifact of Qianyuan sword sect is not only sold in Wangxinghai, but also has a great reputation in Xianyunsu. This is one of the important financial sources of Qianyuan Jianzong. Although it is difficult to refine the cave artifact, compared to the refining method, the raw material for refining the cave artifact is more cherished. Now other cultivation forces in the Xiao Xian world want to get the Jiayuan pearl, they can only go to Liang Jiayuan to find trouble with the realm demon. And now the Xiaoxian realm and the real demon realm are in a peace period. Which sect dares to risk provoking a war between the two realms and run to the two realms to make trouble? Is it true that the great masters of the primordial spirits in the cultivation world can't lift their swords? Chen Daoxian didn't know what Fairy Qi Yao was thinking. He just felt extremely happy now. There has never been a moment when he absorbed the Qi of Chaos so well as it is now. The quality of the Qi of Chaos transformed by the true immortal origin realm is many times higher than that of ordinary Foundation Establishment and Zifu realm demons. While absorbing the Qi of Chaos, the golden scriptures frantically spit out golden comprehension stardust. Every time the dark red planet absorbs a golden comprehension stardust, it grows by 1 point. Compared with ordinary comprehension stardust, the effect of this golden comprehension stardust on the growth of the dark red planet is unknown. Chen Daoxian didn't even bother to calculate these. No, the sea. The dark red planet on the Sea of God's Light, from its original diameter of 50 meters, began to balloon in size. Soon, it surpassed the 100-meter diameter at its peak, and it is still growing. Please remember this book's first domain name. _WAP. Chapter 276. As the true immortal origin realm returned to the ruins, more and more chaos chi was produced. Fairy Qi Yao stared blankly at the scene in front of her. Even in the Qianyuan sword sect where Jia Yuanzhu was piled up, she had never seen any Jia Yuanzhu with such a terrifying aura of chaos. It is indeed the source world left by the true immortal level world demon. Fairy Qi Yao murmured. However, as soon as the words fell, Chen Daoxian, who was covered in grey fog, trembled slightly. As the golden scripture absorbs the Qi of chaos faster, the speed of the golden perception stardust it feeds back is also increasing. This led to the continuous expansion of the dark red planet in the Chen Daoxian consciousness sea. But the space of consciousness he opened up was limited after all. Soon, the dark red planet swelled to the boundary of the Sea of Knowledge space, and outwards, it was an unexplored dark place. The current situation is very similar to when the stardust of comprehension flooded the entire Sea of Consciousness. This. Chen Daoxian was dumbfounded. He thought that he would not be able to absorb the chaos chi after returning to the ruins of the true immortal origin realm, but he did not expect that after absorbing so much, a little, the Sea of Consciousness space would not be able to hold it. At this moment, Chen Daoxian couldn't help regretting that he usually practiced the Sea of Divine Light for too little time, so that his Sea of Consciousness space was only 500 miles in diameter. But no matter how much he regrets it, suddenly it is impossible for him to increase the size of the Sea of Consciousness space. Only give up. Fairy Qi Yao also saw that Chen Daoxian's state was a bit wrong, and hurriedly flew forward, while propping up the time domain, while dispelling the chaotic aura that enveloped Chen Daoxian. Are you okay? The aura of chaos dispersed, revealing Chen Daoxian in white. It's just that Chen Daoxian's face was very regretful. He showed an embarrassed smile and said, "Thank you, Fairy, for thinking about it, it's fine." Looking at his appearance, it seems that the cultivation of magical powers is not going well. Fairy Qi Yao couldn't help comforting. Jia Yuanzhu is nothing special, why do you take such a risk? Chen Daoxian raised his head suddenly. This sentence is very informative. What is the Jia Yuanzhu not a great thing? His clone relied on me Chen Fan to escape first class, and he worked hard to be chased by the Demon King and Demon Master like a rabbit in the Demon Kingdom of Dayuan. It took more than half a year to harvest dozens of Jiyuan beads. It turned out to be something ordinary in Fairy Qi Yao's mouth. Don't look at Chen Daoxian's harvest of so many Jiyuan beads in the true immortal origin realm this time, it was in the specific environment of the true immortal origin realm. In normal times, how could he have the chance to obtain thousands of Jiyuan orbs? Chen Daoxian felt that this time when the true immortal origin realm returned to the ruins was probably his last chance to obtain a large amount of chaos chi. but listening to the meaning inside and outside the words of Fairy Qiao, this Jiuanzu, Qianyuan Jianzong seems to have many? Yes. Chen Daoxian immediately remembered that the countless small caves in Qianyuan Jianzong were built using Jiayuanzhu. In this way, Qianyuan Jianzong must have a large amount of inventory. Refining Hall. Chen Daoxian suddenly thought of the refining hall of Qianyuan Jianzong. As the department of Qianyuan Jianzong specializing in refining, they must have a large number of Jiyuan beads there. His thoughts turned sharply, and Chen Daoxian cupped his hands and said, listening to Fairy's words, it seems that there are quite a few Jiayuanzhu in our sect. Although there was some speculation, he still asked a question. It is about his future. Chen Daoxian doesn't want to guess so vaguely. That's right. Fairy Qiao nodded and said calmly, in the early years of fighting in Liangjiyuan and True Demon Realm, I did gain a lot of Jiyuan pearls. Cave artifact. However, monks generally have storage bags to store personal belongings, and they can't use the cave artifact easily, so these Jiyuan beads have accumulated in large quantities in the sect. Fighting the real demon world. Chen Daoxian seemed to think of something, and his eyes lit up. So, aren't there many sects with Jiayuanzhu? Yes, the sects that participated in the war between the two worlds back then should have a large number of Jiyuan beads in their hands as long as they still have inheritance, but everyone has a tacit understanding and did not sell a large number of Jiyuan beads to the outside world. Fairy Qiao explained. As for why they didn't sell the Jiayuanzhu in large quantities, Chen Daoxian could probably guess that it must be to maintain the high price of the Dongtian artifact. If a large number of Jiyuan orbs were sold to the outside world, wouldn't the price of the Dongtian artifacts drop to a level similar to that of a storage bag? These sects might as well be sold slowly. Anyway, as long as the war between the Cultivation realm and the True Demon realm can't be fought, other sects will never want to interfere in this business. Because they don't have the materials to refine the cave artifact. This is also one of the few benefits that the sects that participated in the war between the two worlds gained. When Chen Daoxian heard Fairy Qiao's words, his mind suddenly became alive. I thought that if I wanted to get Jiayuanzhu in the future, I had to go to the real demon world to take an adventure, but I didn't expect that there would be such benefits waiting for him. Chen Daoxian knew that the so-called major sects did not sell Jiayuanzhu because they thought the price was too low. Otherwise, these sects will not refine the Jiuanzu into a cave artifact, and then sell it at a high price. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian smiled again. After all, it's not about money. Seeing that Chen Daoxian was depressed at first, and then smiled again, Fairy Qiao thought that the other party had failed to cultivate magical powers, and was hit hard. She frowned slightly and said, if you want the Qi of Chaos to cultivate magical powers, I can help you get some Jiayuanzhu, but you must promise not to sell it privately. After all, Fairy Qiao looked at Chen Daoxian nervously. Although she is the beloved disciple of the Qianyuan Sword sect master and the young sect master of the sect master faction is not without rivals in the Qianyuan Sword sect. If the three elders and the others leave a pretext because of this, Ken will bring a lot of trouble to the master. Fairy Qiao certainly knows this truth. Seeing the cautious appearance of the other party, Chen Daoxian of course knew what she was worried about, shook his head and said, no need, I'll think of a way myself. Hearing this, Fairy Qiao glanced at him suspiciously, then looked at the real fairy source world, which was collapsing faster and faster, and said, let's go out, this world is about to collapse completely. Just as Chen Daoxian nodded, he saw Qiao took out the small movement order and waved it lightly, followed by a whirlwind. When his consciousness was clear, he and Fairy Qiao were already standing on a spiritual boat. On the spirit boat, all the cultivators turned their attention to Chen Daoxian, including the master of Jinhai Palace, Qin Zhan. Seeing the hall master of Jinhai Palace, Fairy Qiao handed back the small transfer order in her hand. Uncle Master. Well, hard work. The master of Jinhai Palace took the small removal order from Qiao, and then looked at Chen Daoxian again, little friend, let's meet again. Senior. Although the hall master of Jinhai Palace usually looks a bit cynical, but in the face of this top-level nascent soul true monarch, Chen Daoxian's attitude is very respectful. Because he knows that others are cynical and have the qualifications to be cynical. He has no confidence or qualifications to disrespect a nascent soul true monarch. I've heard it all. You, the Tsangzhou cultivator, have the greatest gain in this trip to the true immortal origin realm, and among the Tsangzhou cultivators, you have the highest gain. He paused, speaking of which, this is the second time you have made great achievements, right? The junior is ashamed. Chen Daoxian lowered his head. Seeing Chen Daoxuan's humble appearance, although Zenhadian's mouth was slightly dissatisfied, the satisfaction in his eyes could not be concealed at all. For this kind of junior who is both humble, capable, and talented. Which senior monk doesn't like it, and the hall master of Zhenhai Palace is no exception. Chen Daoxian did not delay, and quickly took out the Avenue stone tablet containing the laws of space from the storage bag, and handed it to the master of Zhenhai Palace. Senior, this is the Tao law that this junior has captured from the true immortal origin realm. Please accept it with a smile. Seeing that the Avenue stone tablet in front of him exudes a strong aura of the Tao law, the Zhenhai Palace hall master's breathing became a little short. It's a matter of personal path, and few monks can calm down. The hall master of Zhenhai Palace is no exception. Okay. The hall master of Zhenhai Palace gave Chen Daoxian a deep look. Junior, Qin Zhan, have a great deal of love for you today. The grace of enlightenment is extremely heavy. At this moment, the hall master of Zhenhai Palace made a promise in front of the public. In the future, as long as the hall master of Zhenhai Hall does not fall, anyone in Wangxinghai who wants to touch Chen Daoxian will probably have to consider the consequences. Seeing the scene in front of him, Zhenjuan Yuanchen, who was standing beside him, almost broke his beard with jealousy. Such a good investment object, how could he let it go in the first place? Yuanchen Zhenjuan began to doubt his own eyesight. But at this moment, he is useless no matter how jealous he is. These monks who went to the true immortal origin realm for adventure, before entering, the hall master of Zhenhai Hall promised. The treasures captured from the true immortal origin realm, in addition to the Tao law, the cultivator has the complete right to dispose of. As for the Tao law, these Zifu cultivators can choose two ways. The first is that Shenyuan Jianzong will buy it at a suitable price. The second is to sell it to the nascent soul cultivator present. That is to say, if these nascent soul cultivators want to obtain these Tao laws, they have to bid against each other. This is also what the cultivators who had previously entered the true immortal origin realm should have gained. Otherwise, the Yuanian cultivator and Shenyuan Jianzong would not be able to pull out the hair, and they would like the low-level cultivator to work hard. Why? There is no benefit, people can work without effort. Generally speaking, there is definitely no cultivator willing to choose the first method, because this approach will definitely disgust these nascent soul true monarchs present. You must know that these foundation building and Zifu cultivators were able to gain the opportunity to enter the true immortal origin realm by relying on these nascent soul cultivators to win for them. Dare to do nothing to these nascent soul true monarchs afterwards, you must have the courage to throw the sky. Therefore, the only option is the second method. Let the true monarch nascent soul present to bid. Of course, if a Zifu cultivator had already reached an agreement with a certain nascent soul true monarch, it would be another matter. For example, the cultivators of the Jiang family and Ji family, such as Zhou Mubai and others. But this time, the competition for the law of the Great Tao was a shocking upset. Let a monk who only had the middle stage of foundation building have the last laugh. Chen Daoxian not only used the essence of vitality to quickly break through the middle stage of Zifu, but also grabbed the three laws of the Great Tao, just like a joke. Solemnly put the Avenue stone tablet into the storage bag, Zhenhai Palace's face became relaxed, and smiled. How about the other two avenues, who do you choose to sell to? Qin Zhanyao pointed at the other 5 Yuanying true monarchs. Chen Daoxian swept his eyes from everyone one by one, and just about to speak, Shihai suddenly heard an urgent voice transmission. The hall master of Zhenhai Palace knew that now they must be looking for Chen Daoxian to discuss. But Qin Zhan was confident that with him around, no one dared to do anything like persecution. Sure enough, after the first voice sounded in the sea of consciousness, the next second, one after another, sounded in Chendeoxuan's sea of consciousness. These nascent soul true sovereigns are indifferent on the surface, but in fact, because of the Avenue stone tablet in Chendeoxuan's hands, they have already lost their attention to the skin, and the true monarchs have lost their demeanor. But compared to face and demeanor, for monks, their own path and strength are fundamental. What's so shameful about bidding and competing in front of juniors? Little friend, I am the elder of the Jiang family in Taizhou. As long as you are willing to give me the Avenue stone tablet in your hand, my Jiang family is willing to form a friendship with your Qin family, and my Jiang family is willing to support your Qin family to become the number one in Zhangzhou. Family. The first elder of the Jiang family was dressed in black robes and looked at Chen Daoxian like a falcon. As for Chen Daoxuan's origin, he had just asked the younger generation in the clan. A child of a new rising family in Zhangzhou. Although this son's talent in kendo is amazing, his family background is too weak to be a cause for concern. It is entirely possible to consider supporting the Qin family and making him the spokesperson of the Jiang family in Zhangzhou. I have to say that the promise of the elders of the Jiang family really made Chen Daoxuan's heart move for a moment. But only for a moment. Chen Daoxian soon realized that compared with the Jiang family, the Qin family was too weak. A too-weak family and a strong Yuanying family had no basis for cooperation at all. Even though Chen Daoxuan's current strength is comparable to that of a mid-level Jindan cultivator, the Qin family is still too weak in front of the nascent soul clans such as Taizhou Jiang family and Jingzhou Ji family. The best result of cooperating with such families as the Jiang family and the Ji family is to become a vassal of the other party. If Chen Daoxian is willing to become a vassal of others, how can he go to the Jiang family and the Ji family? Believe it or not, with the favor of the Hall Master of Zhenhai Palace, his Qin family can even directly become a member of the sect master of Qianyuan Sword Sect. Although joining the Qianyuan Sword Sect master faction will make countless enemies, there are more benefits. In the final analysis, the sect master of Qianyuan Jianzong is the orthodox Qianyuan Jianzong, and its power is much larger than that of the three elders. After so many years of continuous weakening, the number of supporters of the three elders has become less and less. If it goes on like this, as long as the third elder sits in a stable state, the Qianyuan Sword Sect will completely usher in the era of the sect master Qin Feishuat. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian already made a decision in his heart. He bowed his hands to the Hall Master of Zhenhai Palace and said, "The seniors don't dare to refuse the good intentions of the juniors, so let's ask the Hall Master to do the auction on behalf of the juniors." With that said, Chen Daoxian handed over the 2 Avenue stone tablets. Slip. The Hall Master of Zhenhai Palace glanced at Chen Daoxian and nodded, "Yes. Thank you, senior." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian breathed a sigh of relief. Apart from the Hall Master of Zhenhai Palace, there were also 5 true monarchs of nascent soul, and he only had 2 Dao laws in his hands. No matter who he chose to sell to, he would surely offend the remaining 3. In this case, it is better to kick the ball to the Lord of Zhenhai Palace. Please remember this book's first domain name. _WAP. Chapter 277. Weiyang Xianqing. A dark space crack suddenly appeared, and in the next second, giant spirit boats flew out of the space crack one after another. It was the Wanxinghai cultivator who went to the demon country of Qingqiu. It seems that a crack in the space that suddenly appeared, a body shaped like a streamer rushed out of the city from the central immortal, and flew to the front of the spirit boat. This figure was wearing a black Taoist robe, a jade crown, and an indifferent expression. It was the head of the Jiang family who stayed in Weiyang Xianqing. Inside the spirit boat. Seeing old ancestor Jiang in Zhenhai Hall, the hall master moved, and instantly appeared in front of old ancestor Jiang. Palace Master Qin. Ancestor Jiang bowed slightly. The hall master of Zhenhai Hall nodded with a smile on his face, as if he was in a good mood. Immediately afterwards, one body after another flew out of the spirit boat, and it was the remaining 5 nascent soul true monarchs. Ancestor Jiang swept his gaze from everyone, and finally stopped on his own elder. He was about to greet him, but saw his elder shook his head slightly. Seeing this, old ancestor Jiang knew what to do, and no longer asked. A few days later, the real immortal source world returned to the market, and the top powerhouses of the three major demon kingdoms dispersed one after another. Naturally, there was no reason for the monks from various states to gather in Weiyang Xiancheng. The monks in Sangzhou gathered together and were preparing to evacuate Weiyang Xiancheng. But they found a blue spirit boat flying towards everyone. Compared with the large-scale spiritual boat of the Zhangzhou cultivator, this cyan spirit boat is quite small, and it is Fairy Qiyao's magic weapon. On a spirit boat headed by a Zhangzhou cultivator, Qin Daoxian, who was surrounded by the cultivators in the center, was looking at the two jade bottles in his hands. These two jade bottles are the profits from the auction of the two great Dao laws by the Hall Master of Jinhai Palace. Moreover, the Hall Master of Jinhai Palace gave all these profits to Qin Daoxian, and he did not take any money himself, which was considered a small return for Qin Daoxian to send him the Law of Space Avenue. On the spirit boat, Zhou Mubai, Henry Zhang, and Taoist Tuo Ling all stared at the jade bottle in Qin Daoxian's hand. Zhou Mubai sighed, "I thought I would gain the most from this trip, but I didn't expect it to be far less than Brother Chen and Brother Zhang." Saying that, he shook his head. Hearing this complaint, Taoist Tuo Ling said dissatisfiedly, "Are you provoking me? Anyway, you still have the sky-high fee that Jinjuan Yuanshan hired you to sell, so I'm the one with the least gain." Of the 5 avenues of the true immortal origin realm, Qin Daoxian alone enjoys 3, excluding the one that was gifted to the Hall Master of Jinhai Temple. For the remaining 2, Qin Daoxian sold them at sky-high prices. Although Henry Zhang did not have as much harvest as Qin Daoxian, his harvest this time was also the second among all the monks. Because he was the second one among the Zhangzhou cultivators to win the Dao Law. But Henry Zhang knew that it was Qin Daoxian's help that he could succeed. Otherwise, with the powerful enemy he faced at the time, although he was safe to protect himself, it would undoubtedly be difficult for a strong man to the Dao Law. Hearing this, Zhou Mubai smiled freely. "Anyway, our Zhangzhou cultivator is indeed the one who has gained the most from this trip. I am afraid that Tai and Jingzhou cultivators will be quite dissatisfied with us." Whispering sound, who knows that Taoist Huling sneered when he heard this. "What do they have to do with my Zhangzhou cultivator? They are dissatisfied, and the two of us were less angry when we held this group of people in Yunmeng." Talking about what happened when he served in Yunmeng Pass, the smile on Zhou Mubai's face gradually disappeared. "Speaking of Yunmeng Pass, I am afraid that the Qianyuan sword sect will really want to recover Jinan Pass." Henry Zhang was suddenly surprised. "You mean?" Zhou Mubai nodded. Then he looked at Qin Daoxian again. "Fortunately, our Zhangzhou now has a Tianjiao Zifu comparable to the middle stage of Jindan, such as Brother Chen, and it will not be so difficult to come to retake Zenangwan." Speaking of this, everyone's eyes on Qin Daoxian were a bit complicated. Who would have imagined that Qin Daoxian would soar to the sky in a mere line of Zengxian Yuanji? Not only did his own cultivation break through to the 6th floor of Zifu, but the realm of Kendo has reached the realm of triple star transformation. More importantly, this Qin Jiaxianjiao seems to have understood his own Kendo and created a sword technique that fits his own Kendo. Coupled with Qin Daoxian's fixed soul and divine light, his combat power is comparable to that of ordinary middle-stage Jindan cultivators. Zhou Mubai estimated that, with Qin Daoxian's current strength, among the cultivators of the Zifu in the entire Wangxinghai, I am afraid that only Fairy Qiyao from the Qianyuan sword sect could overwhelm him. But Fairy Qiyao is now in the perfect state of the Purple Mansion, and is about to break through the Golden Core stage. If it wasn't for the purpose of helping the Master of Jinhai Palace to capture the law of the Great Way of Space, I am afraid that he would have already broken through to the Golden Core stage in the sect. In other words, wait until Fairy Qiyao is promoted to Jindan stage. This Qin family Tianjiao is impressively number 1 on the Zifu Tianjiao list. Although compared with the Jindan real person list, the Zifu Tianjiao list has not received much attention from Wanxinghai Yuanying Jinjuan, but the weight of the first place in the Zifu Tianjiao list is still very heavy. Especially with Fairy Qiyao, who is a foreshadowing in front of her. Fairy Qiyao can become the young sect master of Qianyuan sword sect, definitely not by her status as a master sect master, but by her own unparalleled kendo talent. For the Zifu cultivator, as long as the kendo realm reaches the third realm, breaking through to the Jindan stage in the future is basically a sure thing. And what about Qiao? The realm of kendo has actually reached the fourth level, the realm of Taoism. You must know that even many Jindan cultivators have not reached this realm, which shows how terrifying her talent on the Tao of Comprehension is. Fairy Qiao is not Chen Daoxian. She doesn't have the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic that can help her increase her understanding. Although there are treasures in the Chenyuan Sword sect to assist in enlightenment, no matter which one is, it is absolutely inferior to the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic, there is no doubt about this. When everyone just mentioned Fairy Qiao, a blue spirit boat flew towards Zhangzhou Cultivator's spirit boat group. Seeing this, everyone could not help but control the spirit boat to slow down. Sure enough, the next moment, a ray of light went directly to everyone's spirit boat. It was Fairy Qiao. With a wave of his hand, the blue spirit boat suddenly shrunk, eventually becoming the size of a human hand, and was put into the sleeve by Fairy Qiao. I have seen the young sect master. When everyone saw Fairy Qiao, they all saluted. Exemption. Fairy Qiao nodded, then cast her eyes on Chen Daoxian, seeing that he was playing with two jade bottles, with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Young Daoyu Chen has gained a lot, and even people look in good spirits. Hearing the other party joking, Chen Daoxian smiled and cupped his hands, thanks to young sect master and hall master Qin for their help. Fairy Qiao nodded, and immediately said in a serious tone, after I return to the sect this time, I will retreat to break through the golden core stage. Hearing this, everyone was not surprised. But the next sentence surprised everyone. When I break through, it will be when I, Wan Xinghai, will recover Zenangwen. As the young sect master said, this battle will be led by you? Henry Zhang hurriedly asked. That's right. Fairy Qiao nodded, this matter is not a secret. Zhong Nei has made a decision long ago. This time, I just inform you in advance so that you can be prepared. But Taoist Hualing said eagerly, although Jinan Pass is not big, its location is very important. If we master it, we, Wan Xinghai, will be able to completely block the Izumo Kingdom. Such an important immortal pass, the Xianqing Dao League will definitely guard against it. Can it be done only by our Zhangzhou cultivators? Hearing the words that destroyed his own prestige, Zhou Mubai couldn't help but glared at him. Don't stare at me, I'm just telling the truth. Daoist Hualing glared back immediately. Everyone, please rest assured, the sect will definitely not only send me a Jindan cultivator, but one thing is certain, that is, there will be no nascent soul cultivator participating in the war. Speaking of this, Qiao sighed, you must also know that I, Wan Xinghai and Izumo, have been fighting for hundreds of years, and there are only a handful of nascent soul-level battles that broke out. On the one hand, the nascent soul cultivators are powerful in combat, and each of them has the ability to destroy the sky and destroy the earth. On the other hand, the Yuanian cultivator is the existence of suppressing a sect of luck, and unless it is in danger of destroying the sect, whether it is our sect or the Xianqing Dao League, it is impossible for the two sides to directly fight the Yuanian true monarch. Hearing this, everyone nodded in understanding. How terrifying the Yuanian Jinjuan was in battle, although they had never seen it in real life, it was still recorded in ancient books of various ethnic groups. Not to mention the ancient records, the Lord of Zhenhai Temple and the Lord of Qingqiu Demon Kingdom had a brief confrontation not long ago, and they all saw it with their own eyes. And this is just a small test of the two sides, and there is no real action at all. Otherwise, none of the Zifu cultivators and base-building cultivators present at the time would have survived the aftermath of the battle between these two nascent soul true monarchs, including Fairy Qiao. Hearing this, Daoist Hualing shouted, it's okay to have no Yuaning Jinjuan, we must send more Jindan cultivators. I heard that there are 6 or 7 Jindan Jinren who are guarded by the Xianqing Taoist League in Zenangwen. Bit. Fairy Qiao smiled and said, don't worry. Everyone also knows that the recovery of Jinan is related to Chenyuan Jianzong's grand strategy of annexing the entire Izumo kingdom. This matter is not fully grasped, and Chenyuan Jianzong will not rashly take action. Not surprisingly, the recovery of Zhenengwen this time should be foolproof. Talk about business. Fairy Qiao's expression relaxed. She looked at the 2 jade bottles in Chen Daoxuan's hand, and said with a smile, to integrate the power of creation in the spirit stone into one, only true monarch Yuanying can barely do it. This time you are making a lot of money. In this small bottle, there are 100 drops of the power of creation, TSK. Seeing these 2 jade bottles in Chen Daoxuan's hands, even in the identity of Fairy Qiao, he was quite moved. Because the raw material of this thing is the power of good fortune in the spirit stone, but if you want to extract these power of good fortune, the consumption of the spiritual stone alone has reached tens of billions. 2 bottles are 20 billion spirit stones. And that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that true monarch nascent soul must personally take action and spend a lot of time in order to fuse these mist-like strands of power of fortune into drops of liquid power of fortune. According to a rough estimate, this bottle of fortune-telling power in Chen Daoxuan's hands alone would require 100 years of hard work by a monk in the early nascent soul. This value is too terrifying. If it wasn't for the Tao law, the 5 nascent soul true monarchs would never have paid such a high price. But the Tao law left by the true immortal world demon is too tempting to Yuanying Zhenjuan. If you miss this village, you will not have this store. For things like the power of creation, true monarch nascent soul spends spirit stones, time, and can slowly accumulate, but the laws of the Tao that suit them are hard to come by. Chen Daoxian tightly grasped the jade bottle in his hand, and he was also very excited. The role of the power of creation, the only thing Chen Daoxian has seen is the cultivation of spiritual veins. But that's just a trace of the power of good fortune contained in the spirit stone. After being refined by true monarch nascent soul, the liquid power of good fortune in these 2 jade bottles has completely turned into another treasure of heaven and good fortune. As far as its function, purification, no cultivator in the world can resist it. The so-called purification is actually the same as the power of good fortune in the spirit stone turning decay into magic, and transforming the depleted land into spiritual veins. The liquid power of creation also possesses the power to turn decay into magic. It's just that the refining function of the power of liquid creation is even more terrifying. It can refine all mortal and spiritual things into a higher level existence. That is to make ordinary things become spiritual things, and let low-level spiritual things become high-level spiritual things, completely living up to the name of good fortune. And that is spiritual things, not only spiritual minds and spiritual plants, but also spiritual pills, magic tools, and magic talismans commonly used by monks. In fact, the most common place for monks to use the power of creation is the natal instrument. Generally speaking, when the monks reach the Jindan stage, they will refine the natal magic weapon, and many Jindan real people also call them the natal magic weapon. It stands to reason that the natal instruments that are suitable for Jindan real people will definitely be eliminated when they reach the nascent soul stage, because the instruments are of insufficient quality. In this way, what's the point of trying hard to refine the natal instruments? However, because the Yuanying cultivator can refine the power of creation in the spirit stone, purify the natal magic weapon, and let it be promoted to the rank, so the Jindan cultivator will refine the natal magic weapon. And Chen Daoxian also refined the natal magic weapon early. He felt this kind of pain after refining the natal instruments, and if he gave them up, let's not talk about emotional reluctance. Feishue and Chengying had followed him for so long, and Chen Daoxian could use them better than other flying swords. However, these 2 immortal swords were of the same rank and could not keep up with his cultivation. In order to improve the rank of these 2 immortal swords, Chen Daoxian really did not spend less time. You must know that when these 2 flying swords were first refined, they were only 2nd rank high grade, and now they are 3rd rank middle grade. It can be seen that Chen Daoxian has spent a lot of effort to improve their ranks. Chen Daoxuan's way of raising their rank is naturally not in Dantian Qi Si. Although the Dantian Qi Si can theoretically contain magic tools and improve the rank of the magic tools, that time is based on 100 years. Chen Daoxian has practiced so far, and he has not spent a fraction of it. Therefore, Qin Dao Xian used the second method to reintegrate the new spiritual mind to improve the rank of the immortal sword. But this method will encounter a problem, that is, the pattern of the fairy sword has been fixed, and then incorporating new spiritual ore, it is bound to create a new refining method on this basis. This is also not an easy task. But Qin Dao Xian had the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic, and he did it by force. Even so, he did it very hard. Because he found that it would be easier to recreate a high-level immortal sword refining method than to create a new pattern on the original basis. To sum up, these two methods of raising the rank of instruments are not very reliable. This is also the reason why monks seldom used natal instruments before Jindan period. In order to increase the combat power of the magical weapon, I don't know how much effort it will take. With this energy, it is better to invest in understanding the realm of the Tao and improving one's own cultivation. Wouldn't the strength increase faster? Please remember this book's first domain name. _WAP. Chapter 278. Southwest Waters of Wangxinghai. On an island with beautiful scenery, two huge lakes, like two blue gems inlaid on an oval crown, are located on this small island. These two lakes are the two freshwater lakes of Shuanghu Island, Ryu Lake. At this time, in front of Sun Moon Lake, a woman wearing a jade hairpin and white gauze with a temperament of Rulin was standing by the lake, staring at the lake. Beside the woman in white, there are two beautiful maids standing around. Looking at the appearance, it seems that they are female cultivators of the Qin Jiafu generation. Wow! I saw a purple shadow suddenly jump out of the lake. The hair and delicate body stained with the lake water, quickly turned into a white mist under the transpiration of mana. The purple shadow flashed and stood in front of the woman in white. Sister Luoli, can the two lakes in my family be able to breed ling scallops? When Qin Daolian saw Luoli, she hurriedly stepped forward and asked. Luoli stepped on the solid ground, looked at Qin Daolian, and nodded with a smile. There should be no problem. I have improved the method of cultivating lingbei within the clan so that it can be cultivated in freshwater lakes. The only drawback is that in the process of breeding, it still takes a lot of spiritual energy. Hearing this, Qin Daolian breathed a sigh of relief. The mere aura was nothing to the Qin family today. Compared with this spiritual energy, the Qin family, which has more and more low-level monks in the clan, has an increasing demand for water spirit beads. The Qin family's system of cultivating younger generations is different from other families. Although the Qin family also distinguishes between ordinary children and elite children, the way of distinction is different from other families. When the Qin family first started, they treated all immortal seedlings equally, and they would not treat individuals differently because of their different spiritual roots. The difference in the treatment of the cultivators of the Qin family was only able to be distinguished after the gap between them and their peers was widened during the cultivation process under the same resource conditions. This kind of training system can screen out the outstanding children of the Qin family immortal seedlings to the greatest extent, and there will be no omissions. In the Qin family, as long as you have talent, you will not be buried. But doing so has a disadvantage, that is, it consumes a lot of basic resources that are more cherished. For example, the water spirit beads, a special product of the shark people. Although Shui Lingzhu is not worth mentioning for high-level monks, it has a very good auxiliary cultivation effect for monks in the qi refining stage and even the foundation building stage. Although the improvement effect is not as good as that of the spirit pill, it is more durable and can be used in conjunction with the spirit pill. It is very popular in Guang'an Prefecture and even the entire Zhangzhou area. The Mer people are attached to the Qin family, and the Shui Lingzhu has naturally become a specialty of the Qin family. However, although the water spirit beads are a specialty of the Qin family, when the Zhou family released the enslaved Mer people, they put forward the condition of giving them priority to supply them with water spirit beads. And Qin Dao Xian also agreed. In this way, the water spirit beads of the Merman clan must not only supply the Qin family, but also supply the Zhou family with hundreds of thousands of cultivators, which is a bit dwarfed. After all, the Merman clan is full of calculations, and there are only tens of thousands of clan members, but they are just a trivial small clan in Wangxinghai. How can the water spirit beads they cultivated meet the needs of the Qin family and the Zhou family at the same time? Fortunately, the Zhou family also knew about this situation, and in addition to the temporary relationship between Zhou and Chen, the Zhou family proposed to guarantee the supply of water spirit beads in their family according to the previous share, and there was no lion talking. In this way, the Chen family breathed a sigh of relief. But the problem is that the number of cultivators of the Chen family is also increasing, and the Chen family's demand for water spirit beads is also increasing. Even if the Zhou family didn't have a big lion's mouth, as the number of Chen family cultivators grew, the water spirit beads of the Mer people gradually couldn't even satisfy the Chen family cultivators, let alone worry about other families. At present, in the Chen family's Guanhai Xiancheng, there are no water spirit beads for sale. This kind of rare resource, with the rise of the Chen family, has become the exclusive treasure of the Chen and Zhou families. There are occasional outflows in the market, and the prices are very high, and it is not something that ordinary monks can afford. As a result, the water spirit beads gradually became a legendary resource. This move undoubtedly made other families and loose cultivators in Zhangzhou dissatisfied with the overbearing behavior of the Chen family. The cultivation of low-level monks is the foundation for any family and sect. After all high-level monks have come step by step from low-level monks. Such behavior of the Chen family undoubtedly violated the interests of other families in Zhangzhou. In the past, the Zhou family would still share the water spirit beads with other families in Zhangzhou, but the Chen family was different. The cultivators of the Chen family don't talk about selling water spirit beads to the outside world, they can't wait to break a water spirit bead in half for use. The reason why Chen Dalian is anxious at the moment is precisely because with the surge of cultivators in the clan, everyone's demand for water spirit beads is increasing, and even in recent months, the supply has been somewhat in short supply. At this time, Chen Daoxian led the clan to fight outside, which invisibly put Chen Dalian under great pressure. Fortunately, Luo Li helped her a lot. Thinking of this, Chen Dalian, who was dressed in white, smiled, took Luo Li's hand and said, "Sister Luo Li, thank you, you really helped me a lot." Luo Li shook her head with a smile, and said softly, "Good sister, based on the relationship between my two clans, don't be polite to me." Hearing this, Chen Dalian nodded with a smile. "Here." Luo Li handed over a jade slip. Chen Daolian's eyes lit up, and she quickly caught it. "Is this your improved method of raising scallops?" Chen Dalian said while flipping through the pages. "Great, my human cultivator can also breed this kind of baby in the freshwater lake." Luo Li was about to speak when she suddenly turned around. Chen Dalian raised her head following her gaze, only to see two rays of light flying towards the crowd. As soon as her consciousness was swept away, a look of surprise appeared on Chen Daolian's face. She didn't care about Luo Li, and with a flash of light, she went straight towards the two of them. High in the air, Chen Daoxian and Chen Fusheng stood side by side. Seeing Chen Dalian flying towards the two, Chen Daoxian and Chen Fusheng stopped to escape. "You, young patriarch, are you back?" Seeing Chen Daoxian, Chen Dalian was a little incoherent with excitement. During the half-year that Chen Daoxian left, she lived with anxiety every day. Without him, losing Chen Daoxian, a fierce man comparable to the battle strength of the Purple Mansion, the huge interests occupied by the Chen family, in the eyes of some people, would have become a sweet pastry. Although it was obvious that others didn't dare to mess around for the time being, but behind the scenes, there were already forces that were attacking the Chen family. The most obvious change is that the flow of people in the Chenjiaguan Sea Xianqing plummeted, and the most important thing is that the implementation of the banknotes issued by the Chen family in Guang'an Prefecture suffered a setback. Whether it's in Lingde Immortal City or Guang'an Immortal City, the banknotes issued by the Chen family were rejected. To say that there is no shadow of Zhou and Yang behind this, Chen Dalian doesn't believe anything. However, this is someone else's territory, and even if others explicitly prohibit the use of the banknotes issued by the Chen family will not be able to say a word. Not to mention that the Zhou and Yang families only acted secretly, and they didn't teach anyone anything at all. Chen Dalian is very thoughtful. Knowing that the pillars of the Chen family were not there at the moment, they ordered the family to suspend the implementation of spirit stone coins in these two immortal cities. The implementation of Lingshi coins in Guang'an Prefecture has been frustrated, not to mention other areas outside Guang'an Prefecture. The Chen family still has some influence in Guang'an Mansion, but outside of Guang'an Mansion, others may have heard of Chen Daoxian, but not necessarily the Chen family. In terms of influence, the Chen family is still far behind the old-fashioned immortal cultivating families like the Zhou family and the Zhang family. Seeing Chen Daolian's slightly vicissitudes face, Chen Daoxian gently patted the other party's shoulder and said gently, "Embark." Chen Daolian's eyes were slightly red, and she quickly turned her head away, using her true yuan to evaporate her tears. "Aunt." Seeing Chen Daolian's sobbing appearance, Chen Fusheng pretended not to see it and hurriedly bowed his head to salute. Only then did Chen Daolian pay attention to Chen Fusheng, and then, Chen Daolian's pupils shrank suddenly. She said in a trembling voice, "Fusheng, have you broken through to the Purple Palace period? Breakthrough by chance?" Chen Fusheng lowered his hand and said with a touch of joy on his face. To be able to break through to the Purple Palace period at the age of less than 20 years old is to take advantage of Chen Daoxuan's preaching and the essence of the vitality of the true immortal origin realm. This kind of miracle, let alone in Wanxinghai, is rare even in the entire world of immortal cultivation. The preaching function of the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic is the only one in the world of cultivating immortals, and there is no semicolon. The true immortal origin realm is equally elusive, and it is estimated that it will be difficult to see it again in the future. Combining these two opportunities together, only the cultivator of the Chen family has this opportunity. The reason why it is said to be a cultivator of the Chen family is naturally that Chen Daoxuan's Dongtian artifact carries an unknown number of bottles of vitality essence. The essence of vitality is not easy to preserve, it will dissipate after a month, and it will take a few months. Chen Daoxian galloped all the way back to the family, just to be used by the Chen family before the essence of vitality dissipated. This is the truth of the so-called man who attains the Tao and ascends to heaven. Immediately, Chen Daolian looked at Chen Daoxian again, and she found that she couldn't see through each other at all. If you don't consider the special hidden breath secret technique, this is a phenomenon that the gap between the cultivation bases of the two sides exceeds a big realm. "Young patriarch, are you also?" Chen Daoxian nodded, "Yes, I also broke through to the Purple Palace period." After speaking, he paused, "And my return this time has brought a great opportunity to the clan." "Big chance?" Chen Daolian looked at him expectantly, and even Chen Fusheng on the side looked curious. He didn't know what the big chance in Chen Daoxuan's mouth was referring to. But Chen Daoxian kept his mouth shut with a smile on his face, obviously wanting to surprise everyone. "The clan meeting will be held later, and you will know." "Yes." Hearing this, Chen Daolian couldn't ask any more questions. While the few people were talking, Dun Guang had landed in front of the huge freshwater lake on Shuanghu Island. Luo Li, who was dressed in purple, was stunned for a while when he saw the young Taoist man in a white Taoist robe in front of him. Immediately, she did not know what to think, and her cheeks were red. "Miss Luo." Seeing Luo Li, Chen Daoxian smiled and cupped his hands in congratulations on breaking through to the Purple Palace period. "My concubine also congratulates Dao Yu Chen on breaking through to Zifu." Having said that, Luo Lifu bowed. But the next moment, Chen Daoxian couldn't help being stunned as his eyes moved down. He was just talking to Chen Daolian, but he didn't realize that Luo Li had actually grown legs. Seeing this, he couldn't help pointing at Luo Li's straight and slender legs, and said, "Miss Luo, your legs?" Hearing this, Luo Li's cheeks turned even redder. She twisted and said, "After my merman breaks through to the Purple Mansion, there will be an opportunity to enhance the innate supernatural power. I chose to enhance the human bloodline in my body, so I transformed it in advance. The transformation of the Zifu period, whether it is a monster in the Shou Xian world or a world monster in the real monster world, is impossible. Generally speaking, the transformation of monsters and world monsters into human forms can only succeed when they cultivate at the nascent soul stage, which is equivalent to a human race cultivator. Therefore, such monsters and world monsters are also known as transformation period monsters. Chen Daoxian had seen the innate supernatural power in Luo Li's mouth. When he first went to the Wangxinghai underwater world, Luo Li took him there with her innate supernatural powers. Otherwise, with Chen Daoxian's cultivation at that time, it would be impossible to go to the underwater world of Wangxinghai. At this moment, Chen Daoxian was shocked when he heard that Luo Li had given up the opportunity to enhance his innate magical powers in order to transform into a human form in advance. Because Luo Li will also survive the Golden Core Thunder Tribulation in the future. The strength is not good, and crossing the Golden Pill Thunder Tribulation is a dead end. Is it worth sacrificing the road in order to transform in advance? Luo Li understood the meaning of Chen Daoxian's eyes. She didn't speak, just looked at him gently, with a faint smile on her pretty face. Chen Daoxian also understood what she wanted to say from her bright eyes. Worth. Aside, Chen Daoyan saw the appearance of the two, and quickly tugged Chen Fuxing's sleeves. After realizing it, Chen Fuxing looked at Chen Daoyan suspiciously, as if he didn't understand why his aunt was dragging her. Go! Chen Daolian's divine sense transmitted the sound. After he finished speaking, he dragged Chen Fuxing, along with her two maids, and drove away with the light. As several people left, only Chen Daoxian and Luo Li were left in front of the huge freshwater lake. For a time, the atmosphere became a little charming. Come with me. Luo Li took a deep breath and was the first to break the silence. Okay. Chen Daoxian nodded and stayed by her side silently. Walking, Chen Daoxian sighed, why do you do this? Luo Li's footsteps paused slightly. She raised her head and looked up at the handsome man beside her. I just want to stand with you. Your mind. Before Chen Daoxian could say anything, Luo Li hurriedly said, don't get me wrong, I won't ask you anything. I know that my background is not good, not even a human race. I just hope that I can always stand by you in the future. Beside, that's all. Hear this. Chen Daoxian looked at her with a smile. Do you know what I'm going to say, just to defend in such a hurry? Did I say I don't want to? Then do you want to? Luo Li was so excited that her voice trembled. Chen Daoxian nodded, and he looked at Luo Li seriously. I'm not a stone, how can I understand Miss Luo's mind? What's more, you are the most beautiful and purest woman I have ever seen in my life. But I'm not a human race. I do not care. Under the setting sun, the lake was sparkling, reflecting the shy and joyful faces of the two. Chen Daoxian gently pulled Luo Li's soft little hand, and said softly, I don't know about the others, but as far as I'm concerned, I just want to be worthy of my heart. This is my heart. Chen Daoxian pulled the beauty into his arms with a slight effort. Chapter 279. The news of Chen Daoxian's Hui clan was like a thunderclap on the ground, causing an uproar on Shuanghu Island. On a peaceful island. One after another, the light flew towards the discussion hall in front of the Sun Moon Lake in the clan. These escapes are only the top of the clan, and more low-level monks are all restrained by the elders in the clan, and they are not allowed to run around. Council Hall. Chen Daoxian was in the top seat, looking around. The hall was crowded with people. Compared with the clan meeting held by only 11 Taoist monks in the past, it felt like a world away. As the strength of the family grew, the departments established by Chen Daoxian were all enriched. In fact, this is also predictable. The Chen family has no shortage of personnel and financial resources, and it is a simple matter to set up various departments. At this time, those who are qualified to stand in the Chen family's discussion hall are at least at the deputy minister level and above. Change it to another family, that is, the elder level meeting. Compared with the last time, the clansmen who came to participate in the clan meeting this time have the lowest cultivation base and have all reached the foundation building stage. This undoubtedly made Chen Daoxian very satisfied. It seems that the last time he got angry, it was still useful. The Chen family has no shortage of resources. If they can't even build a foundation, then it is the problem of the clan, and there is no other excuse to find. As for cultivators who want to comprehend the Tao law, they can also wait until after the foundation establishment period to comprehend. With Qin Daoxuan's cultivation and strength, he has been improving day by day. He thinks that Zhou Mubai's obsession with comprehending sword intent in the swordsmanship jade slip that Zhou Mubai gave him was completely wrong. When a cultivator is in the qi refining period, there is no need to rush to comprehend the law of the Great Tao. Because cultivators have the lowest degree of fit with the Great Tao during the qi refining period, and only with the step-by-step improvement of their cultivation, the degree of fit with the Great Tao will become higher and higher. Comprehending the Tao law during the qi refining stage and comprehending the Tao law during the foundation establishment stage are not at the same level of difficulty. Although the qi refining period is to comprehend the sword intent, there will be one more opportunity to temper true qi. After breaking through the foundation establishment period, the strength will usher in a round of skyrocketing. But you must know that this extra tempering opportunity does not mean that latecomers can't catch up. According to the Qianyuan Sword Classic, there is a limit to the cultivator's tempering true essence and mana. Qin Daoxian has one more tempering opportunity, but it means that he has reached the limit state of true essence earlier. However, after the foundation building stage, the Daos law comprehended is a little deeper, and it is also capable of the Daos limit state true essence, which is no worse than comprehending the sword intent during the qi refining stage. Take Fairy Qi Yao, the young sect master of Qianyuan Jianzong as an example. She realized the sword intent during the foundation building period. If one can comprehend the sword intent during the qi refining period, it can really be of such great benefit. Wouldn't a sect of the Qianyuan sword sect not be devoted to cultivating it? Even if you comprehend the sword intent during the qi refining period, you will encounter danger in the process of foundation building. But even Qin Daoxian can solve this kind of danger. So many infant true monarchs of Qianyuan Jianzong can't solve this kind of danger? Obviously, comprehending sword intent during qi refining is, in essence, a worthless thing. It is better to embark on the foundation building stage as soon as possible than to pursue the qi refining period to understand the sword intent. At this time, it is at least several times less difficult to comprehend the sword intent in turn. Qin Daoxian was able to comprehend the sword intent during the qi refining period because of the blessing of the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic. His comprehension is much stronger than that of ordinary monks. It is also because of this that Qin Daoxuan's speed in comprehending sword intent during the qi refining period is even more exaggerated than that of a foundation establishment cultivator. But Qin Daoxian has this condition that ordinary Qin family cultivators do not have. It is a mistake for them to take Qin Daoxian as an example. The correct approach should be to use the rich resources of the family to build a foundation first, and then consider the matter of comprehending the Tao law. The swordsmanship jade slip that Zhou Mubai gave to Qin Daoxian was just his personal practice experience. I have to say that at that time, Zhou Mubai had very shallow views on kendo. At least for the current Qin Daoxian, it is very shallow, and even many opinions are wrong. Thinking of this, Qin Daoxian had to sigh. There is a world of difference between inheritance and no inheritance. The disciples of Qianyuan Jianzong would never make the low-level mistakes made by small families, like the Qin family and the Zhou family. But fortunately, the Qin family cultivator did not make a deep mistake, and it is now too late to correct it. Young Patriarch. In the hall, everyone saw Qin Daoxian, who had been promoted to the Zifu stage, and bowed and saluted. Seeing the excited expressions of everyone, Qin Daoxian waved his hand and said, "No gift." "Yes, young patriarch." After speaking, everyone looked at Qin Daoxian with burning eyes. Feeling the scorching eyes of everyone, Qin Daoxian smiled and said, "Everyone has seen it. During this trip to Taizhou, Fusheng and I have obtained great opportunities, and all of them have been promoted to the Zifu period." Hearing these words, the field became noisy again. Qin Daoxian pressed his hands, and everyone became quiet again. "Dorian. Exist. What happened during my absence from the family?" With that said, Qin Daoxian looked at Qin Dalian, who was first on the left. Qin Dalian stood up and reported, "Although there is no major incident in the clan, the implementation of Lingshire coins has been blocked in Guang'an Prefecture, and..." Lingde Xiancheng and Guang'an Prefecture Xiancheng have formulated a number of policies to increase the strength of attracting loose cultivators. Guanhai Xiancheng lost a lot of merchants and scattered repairers, and it was deserted a lot. Chen Daoxian nodded slightly. These are normal business competitions, and there is nothing to say. Although the major families in Sangzhou are united to the outside world, the competition is not ambiguous at all. After all, Sangzhou is not like Taizhou and Jingzhou. It is completely dominated by the two major Yuanying families, and the other families are all vassals. Sangzhou still does not have a cultivator family that can suppress all the forces. Even the former Yi family couldn't do this. If you want to overwhelm all the families in Sangzhou, either a nascent Soul family or a Jindan family with more than 10 Jindan cultivators will appear. And these 2 points, no family in Sangzhou can do. The Zhou family wanted to become the largest clan in Sangzhou, and they just wanted to be the leader of the major clans in Sangzhou. It is not that other families in Sangzhou become vassals of the Zhou family. If you want to make all the other families in Sangzhou become the vassals of the Zhou family, even if Zhou Mingho and Zhou Mubai all succeed in forming a pill, it is impossible. If there is a Jindan family like the Yi family in Sangzhou now, big families like the Zhou family, the Chen family, and the Zhang family, can they bow their heads and become ministers? Almost dreaming. Also, the ancestor of the Zhou family sent an invitation 6 months ago, inviting my Chen family to go to Lingbei Island to watch the ceremony. Visit? Chen Daoxian was stunned for a moment, and then he thought of something, and said in surprise, Zhou Laozu is going to break through the golden pill? Chen Daolian nodded, exactly. Chen Daoxian was surprised for a moment, and then he calmed down. Zhou Mingho was an old man who had experienced the chaos of the gods. The lifespan of a cultivator in the Zifu is only 500 years. Don't look at Zhou Mingho's appearance as a young man, in fact he is more than 400 years old. Zhou Mingho looks young, but it is the effect of taking Zhuyan Dan. Based on Chen Daoxuan's Kendo realm, he could naturally sense that Zhou Mingho's Dao realm did not surpass his at that time. In other words, Zhou Mingho's Dao realm is not as good as Zhou Mubai's. Breaking through the golden core with the second great Dao realm, Chen Daoxian shook his head and sighed, a desperate fight. With Chen Daoxuan's current strength, he naturally doesn't care whether the Zhou family has an additional Jindan cultivator. Even if Zhou Mingho breaks through to the golden core stage, his strength is at most different from that of Zhou Mubai. But today's Chen Daoxian is much stronger than Zhou Mubai. Moreover, he has gained a lot in the true immortal origin realm, which is far from being fully digested. When Chen Daoxian has digested the harvest in the real fairy source world, there will definitely be a big leap in strength. At that time, his strength may be comparable to the current fairy Qiao, and naturally he will not have any pressure in the face of an ordinary Jindan cultivator. More importantly, Chen Daoxian is not optimistic that Zhou Mingho can successfully break through to the golden core stage. Generally speaking, the Zifu cultivator broke through the golden core stage with the second highest Dao realm, not to mention the success rate of the core formation. The golden core thunder tribulation after the core formation is successful, and there is a sufficient probability of failure. The success rate of the Zifu cultivator's pill formation can also be improved by borrowing various resources such as the golden pill. But to overcome the golden core thunder tribulation, it depends on the cultivator's real hard power. In this regard, there is basically no external force to rely on. This is also why the world of immortals unanimously believes that only by reaching the third realm of the Great Tao and breaking through the Jindan stage can we have full confidence. This complete certainty is reflected in passing through the golden core thunder tribulation, not the previous condensed golden core. Zhou Mingho wanted to take a risk, but on the one hand, his lifespan was approaching. On the other hand, the other party is also pinning their hopes on condensing the golden core, with the help of the instant sublimation of breaking through the golden core stage, to forcibly improve the realm of the avenue, breaking the realm to the third level of the avenue. Chen Daoxian encountered this situation when he was building the foundation. With the help of the instant sublimation after the foundation was established, the realm of Kendo was forcibly pushed to the second tangible realm, and the strength skyrocketed. Zhou Mingho had this idea. But breaking through the cultivation base and forcibly improving the realm of the Tao is not a very reliable thing. Some people have an epiphany after a breakthrough in their cultivation, and the realm of the Tao has been improved, while some people need to slowly comprehend for a period of time after the breakthrough in their cultivation to improve the realm of the Tao. If it was the first case, Zhou Minghe would naturally have the assurance of successfully transcending the calamity. If it is the second, then his hope of successfully transcending the calamity is very slim. Therefore, Qin Daoxian thought that Zhou Minghe was fighting to the death. After thinking for a while, Qin Daoxian said, "I will go there in person to observe the ceremony." "Are there other things?" "There is none left." Qin Daolian shook his head. Qin Daoxian motioned her to sit down, and Qin Daolian bowed and sat down. Seeing that Qin Daolian's report was completed, Qin Daochu below looked excited and seemed to want to speak, but Qin Daoxian did not give him a chance. He looked around at everyone and said loudly, "I can hear it, the development of the family has gradually slowed down during this time, but this is also something that can't be helped. Our Qin family is developing too fast, and the strength of the clan can no longer keep up with the development of the family." Hearing this, everyone looked contemplative. Qin Daoxian said something, how could they not understand? Of the other great immortal clans in Sangzhou, there are several or even more than a dozen cultivators from the Purple House. Only the Qin family did not even have a cultivator from the Purple House. Although the outside world agrees that Qin Daoxian has the strength comparable to the cultivator of the Zifu, but the strength is comparable to the cultivator of the Zifu, and the influence of the cultivator of the Zifu period on the outside world is completely different. Perhaps in the eyes of the big clan, Qin Daoxuan's strength is comparable to that of Zifu, and he can naturally stand on the same level as them. But for the bottom-level scattered repair, they only know if there is a Zifu cultivator in this family, and if there is a Zifu cultivator, it is naturally a big family. Without the cultivator of the Zifu, if you talk about the sky, the bottom-level loose cultivators will only think that you are a small family. These low-level scattered cultivators do not know how big the gap is between the cultivators of the Zifu. Because of their strength, they are already different from the Zifu cultivators. How can they tell which is stronger than which? The only way for the loose cultivators to distinguish the strength gap between the cultivators of the Zifu is to rely on the Zifu Tianjiao list. But there are a total of 100 Zifu cultivators on the Zifu Tianjiao list, scattered to Qianyuan Jianzong and various states. How many can they spread? Sangzhou's Zifu cultivator is full of calculations, including Zhou Mubai, Huling Taoist, and Zhang Daoxian on the list. Even if you add Qin Daoxian, who has not yet been on the list, there are only 4. As for those Zifu cultivators who didn't make the list, which one is stronger? In other words, are there any monstrous base-building cultivators who can rival the ordinary Zifu cultivators? The underlying scattered repair is not clear. And this will undoubtedly affect the bottom-level loose cultivator's judgment on the strength of this family. The Qin family's Guanhai Xianqing obviously does not have to be different from Lingzhou Xianqing and Guang'an Palace Xianqing in all aspects. Even because of the advantages of industrialized production, the elixir, amulet, and magical instruments sold by the Qin family are cheaper than those of the outside world, but the scale of Guanhai Xianqing cannot surpass that of Guang'an Palace Xianqing. The most prosperous period of Guanhai Xianqing was only comparable to Lingdai Xianqing. The reason for this is that there is no Zifu cultivator sitting on top of Qin Jiming. Now, things are completely different. So, I plan to focus on improving the cultivation of the monks in the clan. Boom, this sentence immediately caused a huge sensation among the people. Concentrate on improving our cultivation. Dare to ask the young patriarch how to improve. Yeah, this isn't there some. Even with Qin Daoxuan's unparalleled reputation in the clan, when he said these shocking words, everyone looked at Qin Daoxian in disbelief and expressed doubts. Qin Daoxian did not explain. He took a small tower from his waist and waved it gently. Next moment, the hall is full of crystal-clear jade bottles, which are the instruments that hold the essence of vitality, the jade crystal bottle. What is this? I don't know, but I feel that Dantian Jinyuan is faintly boiling. You feel this way too, below? Chen Fusheng was stunned on the spot when he saw the jade crystal bottles suspended in the hull. This! How could the young patriarch have so much vitality essence? For a time, Chen Fusheng only felt that his mind was a little stiff. He originally planned to donate a few bottles of vitality essence in his hand to the family, and strive to add another Zifu cultivator to the family. Now it seems that his pattern is too small. Did the young patriarch rob all the demons and cultivators of the true immortal origin realm? Chen Fusheng couldn't help but think wildly. Immediately, he felt that it was unlikely. Although the young patriarch is extremely powerful, it is impossible for him to do this alone. There are probably thousands of jade crystal bottles in the hull, right? Just when Chen Fusheng was puzzled, Qin Daoxian continued, these jade crystal bottles contain a treasure called the essence of vitality. Although this treasure is difficult to produce and difficult to store, it can quickly improve the cultivation of monks. Now, these essences of vitality belong to you. Boom! This sentence completely ignited the enthusiasm of the Chen family cultivator in the hall. Although they don't know what the essence of vitality is, there are so many treasures that can quickly improve their cultivation, and they will definitely increase the strength of the Chen family cultivator by a large amount. It's just that everyone didn't know at this time that although they had repeatedly overestimated the effect of vitality essence, they finally found that they still underestimated this treasure. Chapter 280. Twin Lakes Island. Council Hall. After the clan meeting was held, Qin Daoxian left behind Qin Daolian, Qin Daochu, and Qin Fusheng. There are a total of 6,357 bottles of vitality essence. According to an average of 13 bottles of vitality essence, a cultivator in the early stage of foundation establishment can be promoted to the Zifu period, and more than 480 cultivators of foundation establishment can be promoted to the Zifu period. Saying that, he looked at Qin Daolian. Can my Qin family find 480 foundation building monks who are worthy of cultivation? Hearing this, Qin Daolian's heart was beating like thunder, and she pursed her dry lips, and said, Chief Master, now there are 967 cultivators in my Qin family at the foundation stage. There should be no problem in identifying 480 potential foundation building cultivators. Chen Fusheng on the side only felt that he was dizzy now. 480 Zifu monks. Even if it was just 480 cultivators of the most ordinary Zifu, looking at Sangzhou, it was a terrifying force that crushed everything. The Yi family and the Zhou family were all scum in front of the 480 Zifu cultivators. Even if the ordinary Zifu cultivator is weaker, wearing spirit armor and setting up a formation, dozens of Tianjiao Zifu who are fighting against a Zifu Tianjiao list will still have no problem. In this way, the Chen family has added a dozen or so arrogant-level Zifu monks out of thin air. Not to mention that among the group of Zifu monks born in the Chen family, there were already a group of extremely talented foundation-building swordsmen. Their strength will soon surpass that of ordinary late-stage Zifu cultivators, and be between ordinary late-stage Zifu cultivators and Tianjiao Zifu cultivators. For example, the current Chen Fusheng is probably at this level of strength. A Zifu cultivator of this strength can match a Zifu Tianjiao with only a few digits. And this level of monks, the Chen family has at least 8, because in addition to Qin Daoxian, the Chen family also has 8 foundation-building swordsmen. These are the family background accumulated by Qin Daoxian when he preached at the beginning. Hearing that the family's foundation-building cultivators now number nearly 1,000, Qin Daoxian nodded in satisfaction. Immediately, he sighed. Unfortunately, although the essence of vitality can quickly promote the foundation-building cultivator to the Zifu stage, it cannot help these cultivators to understand the Tao. Even if they break through the Zifu, they are destined to be the weakest. Seeing that Qin Daoxian was still dissatisfied, Qin Daolian hurriedly said, Young Patriarch, these purple monks who are about to be born in my Qin family are weak, but they are young. Even the eldest one is no more than 30 years old. Even if the current strength is weak, the life essence of more than 400 years is enough for each of them to reach the level of Tianjiao Zifu. Hearing this, Qin Daoxian was immediately dissatisfied. With such a big advantage, you only want them to be listed on the Zifu Tianjiao list? you should think that this group of Zifu cultivators can survive the Golden Core Thunder Tribulation in the future and become the true monarch of nascent soul. After speaking, he reached out and tapped Chen Daolian's head lightly. Hearing these words, Chen Daolian couldn't help but stunned. With such a large lifespan advantage, for the rest of the time, the cultivator of the Chen family's Purple House only needs to understand the law of the Great Tao with peace of mind, and he does not need to spend too much time improving his cultivation. For more than 400 years, even if these Zifu cultivators fished for 3 days and spent 2 days drying the net, they would be able to improve their cultivation from the early days of Zifu to the great perfection of Zifu. In the past 400 years, they have used it more to comprehend the laws of the Tao. Moreover, the cultivators of the Chen family understood the avenue, and they were also assisted by Chen Daoxuan's preaching. Even though Chen Daoxuan's preaching time is not fixed, but for more than 400 years, Chen Daoxian has preached for them thousands of times, 10,000 times. In this way, even if the talents of this group of Zifu monks are poor, they will definitely reach the third realm of the Great Tao in the future. Besides, the foundation-building cultivators of the Chen family are not that bad. Chen Daoxian shook his head. The only pity is that the strength of the more than 480 Zifu cultivators who were born out of the essence of vitality is still a bit weak. Who knows, Chen Daochu on the side interjected mysteriously, not necessarily. Oh? Hearing this, Chen Daoxian smiled and turned to look at Chen Daochu. When the Kai clan was meeting, I saw that you couldn't wait to speak. Did your Magic Weapon Research Institute invent any new magic weapon? Seeing Chen Daoxuan's expectant eyes, Chen Daochu smiled and said, it's not a new type of magic weapon, but a breakthrough in spirit armor technology. Spirit armor? Third order spirit armor? Chen Daoxian looked at Chen Daochu excitedly. The biggest reason why he asked Chen Daoxian to set up the Magical Instrument Research Institute at the beginning was to let them create a third-order spirit armor refining method on the basis of the second-order spirit armor. Because of the refining method of the third-order spirit armor, it was firmly blocked by the top families of Qianyuan Jianzong and Wan Xinghai. You know, even Chen Daoxian doesn't have a third-order spirit armor by his side. Of course, there is also the factor that he did not exchange his military exploits. Because it is not cost-effective to exchange battle merits for Tier 3 spirit armor, and there are various hard restrictions. It can be said that Qianyuan Jianzong's blockade of spirit armor is much stricter than the blockade of martial arts. Similarly, there are large-scale war instruments. This time, the reason why the human cultivators were not defeated by the demons in the true immortal origin realm was that there were very few cultivators wearing Tier 3 spirit armor among this batch of cultivators in the purple mansion of Wangxinghai. Only the core disciples of Jiang and Ji wear Tier 3 spirit armor. As for the more numerous monks from the vassal families of Jiang and Ji, as well as the monks from Cangzhou, few of them could afford the third-order spirit armor. Even Chen Daoxian fought in a white Taoist robe. It's not that Chen Daoxian is pretending to be unrestrained, but that he doesn't have a third-order spirit armor, and a second-order high-grade spirit armor can't play much defensive role in the battle of the top Zifu monks. Chen Daoxian simply stopped wearing it. Inside the hall. When Chen Daochu saw Chen Daoxian looking at him excitedly, he couldn't help feeling a little guilty. It's not a third-order spirit armor, anyway, you'll find out when you look at it later. Chen Dao hesitated at first. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian looked at the other party with interest and said, why, didn't you bring out the sample? Who knows that when Chen Daochu heard this, he said with a serious face, the rule of our Institute of Magical Instruments is that all items of the Institute, whether sample instruments or research jade slips, are not allowed to be taken out. This is an iron law. As the Dean of the Magical Instrument Research Institute, I am no exception. Seeing Chen Daochu's serious face, Chen Daoxian nodded. There are rules, and the leader is willing to abide by the rules, which is a rare thing for any force. Especially for a person like a cultivator who attributes his mighty power to himself. In fact, in any cultivation force, there are cases where monks use their personal strength to break the rules of the force, more or less. If a cultivator of a cultivating force cannot abide by even the most basic rules, no matter how many strong people this force has, it will be nothing but scattered sand. Only the power of cultivation that the strong are willing to abide by the rules can truly twist the power into a rope. Chen Daoxian saw the serious expressions on everyone's faces, and knew that his education to the monks of the Taoist generation and the family's education to the monks of the Blessed generation was very successful. The cultivators of the Chen family did not rely on their cultivation and high status, so they ignored the clan rules and did whatever they wanted within the clan. Chen Daoxian nodded with satisfaction and smiled gently. Okay, it's better to hit the sun if you choose a day, let's go now. Saying that, he looked at Chen Daolian and Chen Fusheng. Are you two going to go together? Chen Fusheng and Chen Daolian looked at each other and cupped their hands together. I still have to count the foundation building cultivators who use the essence of vitality. I also have to go to the military to select people. Chen Daoxian waved his hand. Then you can go. He knows that now the Chen family members can't wait to sharpen their heads and want to win the opportunity to use the essence of vitality. Although the Chen family cultivator will owe a large amount of contributions to the family after using the vitality essence. But if the cultivation base is upgraded to the Purple Palace period, there will be 500 years of life essence to be squandered, and no matter how many family contributions are owed, there will always be a day when it will be repaid. In comparison, the foundation establishment cultivator who was not selected was much more uncomfortable. Of course, the Chen family has no shortage of resources. Even if the remaining base building cultivators are not selected, if they practice step by step, they will still have a great chance of breaking through to the Zifu period in the future. After all, the Chen family suddenly had hundreds of more cultivators in Zifu. After the strength skyrocketed, it would definitely usher in a leap-forward development. And the dividends of development will fall on the head of the Chen family cultivator. This is a virtuous circle. As long as you are not a fool, you can see it. Get out of the hall. Everyone left. Together, Chen Daoxian and Chen Daochu flew straight towards the Magical Instrument Research Institute. The Magical Instrument Research Institute is not far from the Xuanhu Island Industrial Zone, and Chen Daoxian and the two arrived quickly. Through the layer-by-layer method. The two finally entered the Magical Instrument Research Institute. Compared with half a year ago, today's Magical Instrument Research Institute has added a lot of buildings. Perhaps influenced by Chen Daoxian, the architectural style of the Chen family Magical Instrument Research Institute reveals a simple taste in the antique fragrance. Entering the Institute of Magical Instruments, I walked for about a cup of tea. The two stopped in front of a laboratory. That's it. Chen Daochu is familiar with the road. The two entered the laboratory together. As soon as he entered the laboratory, someone recognized Chen Daoxian with a look of reverence and excitement on his face. After all, these blessing characters in the laboratory have grown up from studying at a young age and hearing about Chen Daoxuan's legendary experience. From the bottom of their hearts, they are full of admiration for Chen Daoxian. Along the way, Chen Daoxian kept saying hello to these Chen family research elites. Although he is in the world of immortality, Chen Daoxian has never underestimated the research of magical instruments. He would never forget that the Chen family rose up with a small melting furnace. Although the profit brought by the Rongling stove to the Chen family is no longer so important, the various instruments manufacturing industries that have grown based on the Rongling stove are still one of the economic pillars of the Chen family. Young patriarch, look! Chen Daochu pointed at a cyan spirit armor and said excitedly, "This is the spirit armor I told you." Seeing this pair of spirit armor in front of him, Chen Daoxian did not have any excited expression, but frowned. The reason is very simple: this spirit armor is not a third-order spirit armor, but a second-order high-grade spirit armor. It's just that the difference from the top-grade spirit armor in the family inheritance jade slip is that the chest of this spirit armor seems to have a faint lotus-like pattern. It stands to reason that after the magic weapon is melted, there will be no traces on the surface. Spirit armor is also a kind of magic weapon, and naturally it should not have lines. This is... Chen Daoxian looked at the lotus pattern and felt a little familiar. This is the white lotus of good fortune. Chen Daochu said with a smile, "You didn't expect it. I combined the fortune-telling white lotus that stores the true essence and the spirit armor to create this brand new combined magic weapon." Hearing these words, Chen Daoxian was shocked. You mean, use the real energy in the White Lotus of Good Fortune to directly power the spirit armor? Right. Qin Daochu said excitedly. Usually the fortune-telling White Lotus used by the cultivators of the Qin family can only replenish the real energy into the Dantian Qi Si, but this time, I not only let it replenish the cultivator's real energy, but also let it directly power the spirit armor. From the point of view of people who don't know how to do it, there seems to be no difference between directly powering the spirit armor and providing power through the Dantian. But Qin Daoxian knew that the difference was too great. In scientific terms, it is a power issue. The Dantian of different cultivators can be regarded as the difference in external output power. The mana of the Zifu cultivator is definitely stronger than the real essence of the base-building cultivator. So, is there any way to make the base-building cultivator burst out with true energy comparable to the mana of the Purple Mansion cultivator? Tempering the true essence and letting the true essence reach the limit state is one way. But even in this way, it can't surpass the mana of the Zifu cultivator, and can only keep getting closer. Under the same amount, it is impossible to want the true essence of the Foundation Establishment cultivator to be stronger than the mana of the Zifu cultivator, but different amounts of true essence can still be stronger than the mana. As the so-called quality is not enough to make up the quantity, this is the truth. It's just that the quality and quantity of the base-building cultivator's true essence can't compare to the mana of the Zifu cultivator, and it can be said that it has been completely crushed. This is the basic strength. So it can be seen how perverted Qin Daoxian must be to be able to fight beyond the ranks. The Qin family cultivator is different. The Qin family has a special instrument called the White Lotus, which can store the monk's true mana. Therefore, the Qin family cultivator's true essence is far more than that of the Zifu cultivator, let alone the same level. However, although the Qin family cultivator has a lot of real energy, it is impossible to burst them all together. Because of the limitation of Dantian's Qi Si, if you pour all the real energy in the White Lotus into your Dantian, let alone an enemy, your own Dantian will explode in an instant. This is also the reason why the foundation-building cultivator of the Qin family uses magical tools, and the power cannot be increased, but can only last for a long time at most. At this moment, Qin Daochu actually said that he combined the second-order spirit armor with the White Lotus of Good Fortune, so that the White Lotus of Good Fortune directly powered the spirit armor. You must know that the output power of the White Lotus is more than 10 times stronger than that of a monk of the same level. If this directly powers the spirit armor, doesn't it mean that a Zifu cultivator uses the second-order spirit armor to provide defense for the foundation-building cultivator? Although the spirit armor has not changed, the defensive ability will definitely increase significantly due to the change of the object providing power. It is also a second-order spirit armor, and the power in the hands of the base-building cultivator is definitely different from that of the Purple House cultivator. As such, the base-building cultivator wearing this second-order power spirit armor is even stronger than wearing ordinary third-order spirit armor. Thinking of this, Qin Daoxian kept stroking the pair of spirit armor in front of him, and praised, "How long does your kid have such a brain? I never realized that you are so smart before." Hey. Qin Daochu smirked. Chapter 281. Go, try. Qin Daoxian picked up the pair of spirit armor in front of him and threw it to Qin Daochu. Seeing this, Qin Daochu hurriedly took the spirit armor and followed behind Qin Daoxian. The Qin family's Magical Instrument Research Institute is located near the Shuanghu Island Industrial Zone. Due to the many contributions made by the Magical Instrument Research Institute since its establishment, the family has paid more and more attention to this special magic instrument research institution. What follows is that the family is inclined to its various resources, which naturally includes the area of the Institute of Magical Instruments. Qin Daoxian and Qin Daochu came to a test site of the Magical Instrument Research Institute. This is a site specially used to test various new instruments, covering a huge area of 7 or 8 square kilometers. Looking at the empty field in front of him, Qin Daoxian nodded, then turned to look at Qin Daochu and said, "Let's start." Qin Daochu skillfully imprinted his divine sense on the sample spirit armor in his hand, and after simple refining, he put the power spirit armor on his body. Looking at Qin Daochu's fully armed appearance, Chen Daoxian couldn't help but remember that when he first asked him to test the defensive power of the spirit armor, the other party looked like this. In a blink of an eye, so many years have passed. Shaking his head, he put away his thoughts. Chen Daoxian said loudly, "Are you ready?" Chen Daochu nodded nervously, and immediately seemed to think of the defensive power of this pair of spirit armor, so he gathered up his courage and said, "Young patriarch, I'm ready, let's start." Chen Daoxian is no nonsense. He directly took out the flying snow sword, straightened a sword light, and slashed towards the opponent. Fei Jian drew a white mark in the sky, and then slashed Chen Daochu's spirit armor. Boom, accompanied by a loud bang, a ring of white air waves spread out towards the surroundings. A long time. The white air wave slowly disappeared. Fortunately, this was in the air. If it were on the ground, this sword might not have caused much damage. I have to say that as Chen Daoxuan's strength became stronger and stronger, the destructive power caused by his gestures became more and more terrifying. During the qi refining period, even with a high-grade flying sword of the first rank, with the infusion of true qi, the sword glow would be no more than 9 feet at most. With this destructive power, it would be hard to tear down a cargo ship. After being promoted to the Zifu period, even if Chen Daoxian did not use the law of the Great Way to increase his attack power, he could provoke dozens of sword beams of nearly 100 feet with just one strike. Don't look at the mediocre sword he just attacked Chen Daochu. In fact, this is the effect of his deliberately restraining the sword light, otherwise the sword light will be exposed, at least several dozen feet. The sword glow of dozens of feet is restrained, and the power of this sword has reached the level of the middle period of Zifu or even close to the late period of Zifu. Not to mention that Chen Daochu was wearing a second-order spirit armor. Even if he was wearing a third-order spirit armor, I am afraid that under this sword, he would have to suffer serious injuries. Of course, Chen Daoxian did not want to take the opportunity to teach Chen Daochu a lesson. But through what he just learned, he knew that the defense power of the second-order power spirit armor in front of him was very terrifying. In truth, the defensive power of the base-building cultivator wearing this spirit armor is probably stronger than that of wearing the third-order spirit armor, and the attacks of ordinary cultivators in the early stage of the Purple Mansion can't help it at all. Chen Daoxian simply broke out the attack in the middle of the Zifu directly to see if it could stand it. Result: the air wave dissipated, and a figure wrapped in cyan spirit armor appeared in front of Chen Daoxian. It seemed that Chen Daochu was safe and sound. Cough cough cough. Just thinking about it, Chen Daochu coughed violently. The blue spirit armor faded, and there was a faint trace of blood on the corner of Chen Daochu's mouth. Young patriarch, next time I want test the defensive power of spirit armor with you again. Chen Daochu looked at Chen Daoxian resentfully. Chen Daoxian laughed awkwardly, threw a bottle of healing elixir over, and said, "I know it in my heart. If you can't hold it, I will stop it in time." Seeing Chen Daochu's expression of disbelief, Chen Daoxian coughed and stopped explaining. However, this pair of spirit armor is really good. Although it is not a third-order spirit armor, in the hands of a foundation-building cultivator, the defensive power it exerts is stronger than that of the third-order spirit armor. Yes. Chen Daochu took out a spiritual pill from the jade bottle and swallowed it in his mouth, while saying, "Unfortunately, limited by the rank, its defense upper limit is still lower than the third-order spirit armor. If the Zifu cultivator was wearing a third-order high-grade spirit armor, I am afraid that the Tianjiao Zifu cultivator would not be able to help him. From this point of view, my power spirit armor is still far behind." Nonsense, if the third-order spirit armor didn't have such a strong effect, Qianyuan Jianzong and other top big families would not have gone to great lengths to block its refining methods. Chen Daoxian said, shaking his head and sighing, "It's not just the refining method of high-level spirit armor. In Wangxinghai, even the spirit ores for refining high-level spirit armor are contraband." Compared with offensive instruments such as the flying sword, spirit armor, especially high-level spirit armor, has always been strictly controlled by Qianyuan Jianzong. Because once this thing spreads, the consequences are much more terrifying than the mere offensive magic weapon. The Chen family is about to have nearly 500 cultivators in the Purple Mansion, which sounds terrifying. But this kind of strength would not be in the eyes of the immortal cultivator family with profound background. It is not that the 500 Zifu monks are not strong, but the 500 Zifu monks who do not have high-level spirit armor, their combat power is really limited. If the 500 purple monks of the Qin family were wearing high-level spirit armor, the situation would be completely different. A Zifu cultivator was wearing a third-order high-grade spirit armor, and even the ordinary Tianjiao Zifu could not break the defense. If they form a formation, a maximum of 10 such Zifu cultivators can compete with a real person in the early stage of Jindan. 500 purple houses, that is 50 Jindan real people. Even if the Chen family's Zifu cultivator is in the early period of Zifu, there is still no problem to match a dozen or even 20 Jindan real people. This force, not to mention the Shouxian family in Sangzhou, is the nascent soul clan like Taizhou Jiang family and Jingzhou Ji family, and they have to look at them. Even for the top nascent soul clan like the Jiang family and Ji family, 500 Zifu cultivators are easy to accumulate, but 500 third-order spirit armors are more difficult to get together. Although these nascent soul families have the inheritance of refining high-level spirit armor, they do not have the spirit or for refining high-level spirit armor. In Wanxinghai, whether it is the materials for refining high-level spirit armor or the materials for refining war instruments, they are all controlled products and are strictly controlled by the Chen Yuan sword sect. Although the Yuanying family has some special channels, they can get some, but there are definitely not many. At most, it can only guarantee that the core children of the family can use it. As for the ordinary children of the family, don't even think about it. Ugh! Hearing the methods and materials for refining high-level spirit armor, Chen Daochu was also very discouraged. Chen Jianzong has ruled Wanxinghai for so many years, and it seems that the management is very loose, and almost all the states are handed over to the Shouxian family. But in fact, Chen Jianzong's control over Wanxinghai is very firm. Don't look at the Jiang family covering the sky with one hand in Taizhou, but Chen Jianzong really wants to destroy the Jiang family, and it doesn't take much effort at all. Why is there such a big gap between the two? In addition to the huge gap between the top-level strengths of the two sides, the gap between the middle-level strengths of the two sides is even greater. The high-level spirit armor was only one of the factors that caused the gap between the middle-level strengths of the two sides. Seeing Chen Daochu's discouraged appearance, Chen Daoxian patted the other party's shoulder and said, "It's not that there is no way at all." Chen Daochu raised his head and looked at him earnestly. Chen Daoxian smiled, tapped the storage bag with his right hand, and saw a white jade bottle appear in his hand. "This is..." Chen Daochu looked at Chen Daoxian suspiciously. "This is the power of creation." Chen Daoxian gently opened the seal of the jade bottle and poured a drop on Chen Daochu's blue spirit armor. Immediately, this drop of liquid creation power was integrated into the cyan spirit armor. Next moment, an extremely strong aura gathered on the blue spirit armor. Chen Daochu stared blankly at the scene in front of him. He has never heard of the liquid power of creation in this world. In his opinion, the power of creation exists in the spirit stone like mist. Once the spiritual energy of the spiritual stone is exhausted, the fog-like power of creation disappears out of thin air. He had never heard of someone who could extract this misty power of creation and store it in a jade bottle as a liquid. In fact, not only Chen Daochu, but also Chen Daoxian saw the power of creation in liquid form for the first time. If it wasn't for the explanation given by the head of the Jinhai Palace at that time, he would not have known that this thing was so precious. Don't underestimate the power of good fortune that Chen Daoxian dripped on the blue spirit armor. Just one drop would cost millions of spirit stones. Of course, compared to the consumption of spirit stones, what is really precious is that it takes a nascent soul true monarch, and it takes a year to extract it. Although the monk has 3,000 years of life after breaking through to the Yuanying stage. However, the cultivation of the nascent soul is more difficult, comprehending the Tao, improving the cultivation base, sacrificing and refining the magic tools, etc., which must not consume a lot of time and energy. How many nascent soul true monarchs would spend time extracting this thing? Generally speaking, only those monks who have no background and are lucky enough to break through to the nascent soul stage will do this kind of hard work. This also led to the high price of the power of creation in the transactions of high-level monks. Chen Daoxian used 2 Dao laws in exchange for these 200 drops of the power of good fortune. Not to mention that he made a lot of money, but he did not lose much. You must know that this is a 200 years of hard work by a nascent soul true monarch, and this is not even counting the cost of 20 billion spirit stones. Half an hour. The aura on the cyan spirit armor slowly converged. Chen Daochu gently stroked the spirit armor in his hand, and his voice trembled slightly. The third order spirit armor. It is the third order spirit armor. Chen Daoxian nodded. It's just a pity that a drop of the power of good fortune can only make it advance from the second order high grade to the third grade low grade, and there is still a gap between the third grade high grade spirit armor. However, there is a low grade third grade white lotus, and its defense should not be weaker than that of a third grade high grade spirit armor. Speaking of this, Chen Daoxian showed a malicious smile on the corner of his mouth. Would you like to try again? Who knows to hear this? Chen Daochu shook his head like a rattle, saying that he would not agree to test the defense of this third-order low-grade spirit armor again. Look at what you're doing. Chen Daoxian said angrily. After pondering for a while, Chen Daoxian immediately expanded his consciousness. Shuanghu Island, the military headquarters of the Chen family. Not long after Chen Fusheng returned to the military station, he heard Chen Daoxuan's voice transmission. Okay, I'll go right now. With a reply, Chen Fusheng didn't dare to neglect. He hurriedly explained a few words, and flew towards the test site of the Magic Instrument Research Institute. Less than half a cup of tea. Chen Fusheng's escape stopped in front of Chen Daoxian and the others. Young Patriarch, Uncle Daochu. Seeing the two of them, Chen Fusheng hurriedly bowed his hands. When Chen Daochu saw Chen Fusheng, his face was complicated. The junior in front of him has completely surpassed him in cultivation. However, he is not in a hurry. When the family has confirmed all the places for promotion to Zifu, he will definitely be able to obtain a piece of vitality essence by contributing with his seniority. At that time, he will be able to catch up. Thinking of this, Chen Daochu smiled and handed over the blue spirit armor in his hand. Fusheng, the young patriarch wants to try the defensive power of this spirit armor, you should put it on. Yes. Chen Fusheng took the blue spirit armor suspiciously. As the consciousness was branded on the cyan spirit armor, Chen Fusheng's face changed suddenly. Tier 3 spirit armor? As he said that, he looked at Chen Daoxian with a shocked expression, and said in a trembling voice, Young patriarch, has the family really mastered the refining technique of Tier 3 spirit armor? Not yet. This spirit armor was promoted by special means, and it is impossible to manufacture it in large quantities. Hearing this, Chen Fusheng nodded. Because of the surprise Chen Daoxian gave him before, his expectations for the family were infinitely higher, and now I heard that the family did not master the refining method of the third-order spirit armor. Chen Fusheng breathed a sigh of relief. This is normal. Chen Fusheng knew that the development of the Chen family was very fast, but it was hundreds of cultivators from the Purple Mansion, and they mastered the refining method of high-level spirit armor. The speed of the family's strength expansion was too fast. As the commander-in-chief of the military, Chen Fusheng knew very well how terrifying the power of a Zifu cultivator equipped with Tier 3 spirit armor would be. Why are the monks in the immortal world not keen on the way of body refining? The fundamental reason is the birth of the spirit armor, which makes the monks feel that it is better to find a high-level spirit armor if they work hard to cultivate the body. If it weren't for some broken mirrors, who had minimum requirements for the cultivation of the body, I am afraid that there would be no one in the world of immortals to study the way of body cultivation. After adjusting his mood, Chen Fusheng stood in the air wearing a third-order spirit armor. Looking at Chen Fusheng several miles away, Chen Daoxian raised his hand slightly, and the flying sword cut through the sky. Boom! A shock wave that was far more terrifying than before, centered on Chen Fusheng, dissipated instantly. Seeing this terrifying shock wave, Chen Daochu's face turned green with fright, and his mind went crazy for warning. Will die. Shocked by this aftermath, he will die. Just when he was uneasy, Chen Daoxian took a step and stood in front of him. The violent shock wave slammed into the spiritual shield held up by Chen Daoxian, and did not affect Chen Daochu behind him at all. This shock wave escaped for a distance of more than 10 miles before slowly dissipating. Although they are high enough at the moment. However, the cultivators of the Chen family on Shuanghu Island were still frightened by this shocking blow, and they flew towards the sky one after another with the escape light. Go back! Chen Daoxuan's voice rang in the ears of every cultivator of the Chen family who came. Hearing the voice of the young patriarch, everyone felt relieved. He bowed his hands towards the high altitude, and then returned to their respective positions with the escape light. Retired people. Chen Daoxian took a closer look, and Chen Fusheng, who was dressed in cyan spirit armor, actually stood in front of him intact. No wonder Chen Yuan Jianzong wants to block the refining method and refining materials of high-level spirit armor. This thing is really scary. Chapter 282, High in the Air. Chen Fusheng took off his spirit armor and flew towards Chen Daoxian and the two. Looking at Chen Fusheng with a normal face, Chen Daoxian couldn't help asking, "How do you feel?" Hearing this, Chen Fusheng was stunned for a moment, thought for a moment, and said, "It feels as if the lower abdomen has been hit hard." Chen Fusheng said while rubbing his abdomen. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian suddenly knew something. With the help of the blood marrow, your body refinement has been promoted to the realm of derivation of flesh and blood, which can make you feel that your lower abdomen has been severely hit, enough to lightly injure the unrefined Zifu cultivator. Chen Daoxian sighed, although the power of my sword just now is not comparable to that of a senior Jindan cultivator, it has almost reached the threshold of a cultivator in the early stages of Jindan, and it can only cause minor injuries to an ordinary Zifu cultivator. Having said that, Chen Daoxian shook his head. When Chen Fusheng heard this, his face was shocked. "Young patriarch, so, isn't the defensive power of this spirit armor stronger than that of ordinary third-order high-grade spirit armor?" "Indeed so." Chen Daoxian nodded. With the power provided by the White Lotus of Good Fortune, the defensive power exerted by this spirit armor is several grades higher than that of the third-order low-grade spirit armor, and even faintly surpasses the third-order high-grade spirit armor. It has to be said that this small change at the beginning of the Tao has suddenly raised the defense of the spirit armor to a higher level. Hey! Hearing Chen Daoxuan's praise again, Chen Daochu laughed proudly. Although he failed to research the refining method of the third-order spirit armor, the combined power spirit armor developed by the Magical Instrument Research Institute is no less than the third-order spirit armor from a certain point of view. Especially in the hands of the Foundation Establishment Cultivator. When a base-building cultivator wears it, even an ordinary Zifu cultivator can't help it. Chen Daoxian stared at the spirit armor in Chen Fusheng's hand, thought for a while, took it from Chen Fusheng's hand, took out the white jade bottle, and continued to drip the power of creation on it. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops. Chen Daoxian stopped immediately after dropping 3 drops of the power of creation. In the next moment, a spiritual charm that was almost 10 times stronger than before flourished on this power spirit armor. 3rd tier top grade. Chen Daochu stared blankly at the scene in front of him. His eyes stared at the white jade bottle in Chen Daoxuan's hand, and his heart was itchy like a cat scratching. Chen Fusheng was also stunned by the scene in front of him. It's just that he knew for a long time that the 2 Dao laws that Chen Daoxian had seized, sold for a sky-high price at Yuanying Zhenjuan, and obtained 2 bottles of the power of creation that was refined by Yuanying Zhenjuan himself. But it was the first time for Chen Fusheng to see the power of good fortune transforming corruption into a miraculous ability. A long time. The aura on the spirit armor slowly restrained and finally disappeared. Compared to before, the cyan spirit armor has turned into a simple appearance. The fetish is self-deprecating. A word suddenly appeared in Chen Daochu's mind. The appearance of the blue-colored spirit armor in front of him is very much like the legendary fetish treasure. However, a treasure of that level is usually only qualified to control a top-level Jindan real person. Although the cyan spirit armor in front of him is only the 3rd rank top rank, its defensive power is not inferior to the ordinary 4th-rank spirit armor. And the preciousness of the 4th Order's spirit armor is unimaginable for ordinary monks. Not to mention the ordinary Jindan cultivator, even the Jindan real person of Chenyuan Jianzong may not have the 4th Order spirit armor. Taking a deep breath, Chen Daoxian said seriously, strictly seal all the information about the power spirit armor. Anyone in your hospital who participates in and comes into contact with this magical weapon will be ordered to seal it. Yes. Chen Daochu cupped his hands and said seriously. He could also see that the power spirit armor created by their Magic Tool Research Institute seemed to be no trivial matter. When the rank of this Azure spirit armor was still low, it was still terrifying, but after the refinement of the power of creation, after the rank was raised, the defensive power it erupted not only did not decrease, but became more terrifying. After thinking about it, Chen Daoxian asked Chen Fusheng to wear this spirit armor again. Afterwards, he took out a jade card from the storage bag and manipulated the 4th Order defense formation of Shuanghu Island, with 3 people at the center, and a spherical space with a radius of 10 miles was completely shrouded. Seeing Chen Daoxuan's actions, Chen Daochu's face, who guessed what he was doing, turned green with fright. You go out first. Chen Daoxian turned his head and said. Hearing this, Chen Daochu hurriedly flew out of the formation as if he had been granted amnesty. Seeing Chen Daochu withdraw 10 miles away, Chen Daoxian turned his head and warned, Fusheng, I will attack you with all my strength later, but don't be afraid, I will stop in time and won't really hurt you. Chen Fusheng smiled and nodded, young patriarch, please. Chen Daoxian nodded slightly, and immediately displayed 3 heads and 6 arms, staring at Chen Fusheng in front of him like electricity. Then 6 terrifying sword lights covered the entire 10-mile radius. Outside the array, Chen Daochu only felt that his eyes were white, and he couldn't see anything. The aftermath of the attack madly impacted the 4th Order defense formation, causing the defensive formation to emit ripples. Chen Daochu stood outside the formation and was apprehensive. Half an hour. The aftermath stopped, and the two stood opposite each other in the sky. Chen Daoxian looked at Chen Fusheng, who was safe and sound, and sighed, if we are in the real fairyland, we have 100 pieces of this kind of spirit armor, and we can completely push all the 4 major demon kingdoms. Chen Fusheng took off his spirit armor, and his face was a little pale, but other than that, he didn't have any injuries. He was pale, completely frightened by Chen Daoxuan's terrifying aura. In terms of strength, Chen Fusheng is only slightly stronger than the ordinary Zifu late stage, but far less than the monks on the Zifu Tianjiao list. But wearing this pair of cyan spirit armor, Chen Daoxian, one of the best in the Zifu Tianjiao list, could not hurt him. It is too exaggerated. No wonder the way of body refinement will decline. With this kind of spiritual armor, who would go to work hard to refine the body? Chen Daoxian sighed. Although he sighed in his heart, Chen Daoxian knew that body refining was not useless. On the contrary, a high level of body refinement will not only improve the cultivator's defense, but also greatly improve the cultivator's physical recovery ability. For example, when Chen Daoxian combined his 6 swords, he shattered the head of the demon king of Blood Prison. But the opponent's monster body was so strong that he actually recovered directly in front of him, and grew ahead again. This kind of injury is absolutely dead on the ordinary Jindan real person. But the Blood Prison Demon King was able to survive this calamity. Although it still can't escape death in the end, the cultivation of the body has indeed greatly enhanced the survivability of the Blood Prison Demon King. It can be said that if Fairy Qiao hadn't restrained the opponent with Dao Domain at that time, Chen Daoxian really couldn't kill it. If Chen Fusheng also had such a terrifying body refinement as the Demon King of Blood Prison, he would use this cyan spirit armor. Chen Daoxian felt that when he met Chen Fusheng, he would only have to run away. Although his attack power was 10 times stronger than Chen Fusheng's, Chen Fusheng could see his attack as nothing. What is even more desperate is that Chen Fusheng's spirit armor does not require his own mana, but is powered by the creation of the White Lotus. It is impossible to exhaust the opponent's mana. When you meet such an opponent, do you still play a fart? Even though Chen Fusheng's body training is limited now, Chen Daoxian is a little bit reluctant to get the other party. Although they are both third-order instruments, flying swords and spirit armors are not of the same grade at all. Chen Daoxian sighed again. Who said it wasn't? Chen Daochu flew over again. Whether it is the Chenyuan sword sect or the top immortal clan of Wanxinghai, they will not restrict offensive magic weapons, but they will restrict spirit armor, especially high-level spirit armor. The reason is this. As he said that, he looked at Chen Daoxian eagerly and said, if the power of creation in the hands of the young patriarch is enough, we can mass-produce this kind of high-level spirit armor, but unfortunately. What are you thinking? Chen Daoxian glanced at him angrily. The 4 drops of the power of creation just consumed, the raw material of 4 million spirit stones is a trivial matter, but it will cost a nascent soul true monarch 4 full years of hard work. Hearing this, Chen Daochu stammered and stopped talking. It took a nascent soul true monarch 4 years to change such a piece of spirit armor, and it was hard to say whether it was worth it or not. For Yuan Jinjuan himself, it is definitely not worth it to spend so much effort just for a spirit armor that he himself cannot use. But for the Zifu cultivator who uses this spirit armor is a life-saving artifact, and it is definitely worth it. Let's think about how to refine the third-order spirit armor. Chen Daoxian patted Chen Daochu's shoulder and said. Hearing this, Chen Daochu nodded. Seeing Chen Daochu's dejected look, Chen Daoxian thought for a while and said, but the family has been promoted to so many cultivators in the Purple House this time, and it's impossible to justify without high-level spirit armor. Saying that, he took out a bottle of the power of creation from the storage bag. There are 96 drops of the power of good fortune here, enough to purify 96 pairs of third-order low-grade spirit armor, and hand it over to you. Chen Daoxian handed over the jade bottle. Chen Daochu took the jade bottle and became excited again. Don't be in a hurry to be happy. When will the 96 spiritual armors be handed over to me by your Institute of Magical Weapons? 1 month, no, half a month later. Chen Daochu quickly assured. Seeing him like this, Chen Daoxian smiled and said, in 3 days, give me 10 pairs of spirit armor. No problem. Chen Daochu slapped his chest loudly. After explaining Chen Daochu, Chen Daoxian looked at Chen Fusheng again. Chen Fusheng saw Chen Daoxian looking at him. Although his eyes were full of reluctance, he still reluctantly removed the temporary imprint of consciousness on the spirit armor and handed over the blue spirit armor. Young Patriarch. Seeing Chen Fusheng respectfully handing over the spirit armor, Chen Daoxian shook his head. Take it, I'll send it to you. This. Chen Fusheng raised his head sharply. Young Patriarch, this is too precious. Please forgive me and be ashamed. Saying that, Chen Fusheng bowed his head and offered the spirit armor with both hands. Seeing this, Chen Daoxian slammed his head and scolded, if you want to take it, just take it, why is there so much bullshit? Although Chen Daoxuan's head was buzzing, Chen Fusheng's eyes were still slightly red. All the time. Among the cultivators of the Chen family's blessing generation, he received the most care from the young patriarch. But his return to the young patriarch was very little. This made Chen Fusheng feel very guilty. What's up? Seeing that Chen Fusheng didn't speak, Chen Daoxian said with a smile, have you been fooled by me? Chen Fusheng shook his head silently. Chen Daoxian saw what the other party was thinking. He patted Chen Fusheng on the shoulder and said, Fusheng, you are from my Chen clan, and I am your young patriarch. As the young patriarch of the Chen family, isn't it right for me to protect you? The old patriarch took care of me in the same way back then. In our Chen family, it was the elders who supported the younger generation from generation to generation, and the younger generation continued this tradition, and only then can we reach today step by step. So, don't have a burden in your heart. If you really want to repay the family, then take your responsibility and cultivate the younger generation of the family. I expect from you, just as the old patriarch expects from me. Chen Fusheng raised his head, just in time to see Chen Daoxuan's gentle eyes, and nodded firmly, Fusheng remember. Good. Chen Daoxian nodded in relief. Twin Lakes Island. Chen Daoxuan's spiritual residence. In the courtyard of Lingfu, the pavilion and rockery are unique, and next to the pavilion is a newly built Lingqi. On the Lingqi, Yunyun's aura is steaming. Inside the pavilion, a slender young woman wearing a lavender veil was sitting under the pavilion and playing in the water. The little feet that are as bright and white as jade, one by one, tap the pool water lightly, the bright and beautiful eyes, but they stare at the blue sky like a sapphire, in a trance. Looking at this beautiful figure in the pavilion, Chen Daoxian walked over gently, sat down beside the beautiful woman, followed her gaze to the sky, and said, "What are you looking at?" "What?" Luo Li was startled. Cherry opened her mouth slightly, and then slapped his chest angrily. "Don't fight, don't fight." Chen Daoxian hurriedly begged for mercy with a smile. Seeing Chen Daoxuan's appearance, Luo Li said angrily, "People are worried to death here, but you are teasing them with the breath-holding technique." As he spoke, he showed a sullen look. Seeing that Luo Li seemed to really have something on her mind, Chen Daoxian gently hugged her shoulders and said softly, "What's wrong? Are you worried about seeing my 13th uncle?" Luo Li nodded slightly. Chen Daoxian smiled and said, "You haven't seen my uncle 13. Didn't you say he was very kind to you? But, it's different." Luo Li said eagerly, "At that time, I was helping the Chen family with my father, but now. Luo Liqiu's face flushed red and she was speechless for a while. Ugly daughter-in-law always wants to see her in-laws. Who's ugly? Luo Li gave Chen Daoxian a naive glance, which made his heart sway slightly. It's not ugly, it's quite white. Chen Daoxian said, glanced at her smooth and jade-like flesh feet and said in a smirk. You, don't look at it. Not long after Luo Li changed shape, her legs were the most sensitive. Chen Daoxian only glanced at it, and she felt a little panic in her heart. She quickly pulled out her little feet from the pool and covered them with purple veils. As everyone knows, her looming appearance makes her even more attractive. Chen Daoxian swallowed unconsciously and looked away slightly. He knew that Luo Li had just transformed into shape, and her legs were very sensitive. She couldn't stand his teasing, and immediately changed the subject. Don't worry, I know Uncle 13, and he will definitely agree with you and me. Chen Daoxuan's words quickly calmed Luo Li's uneasy heart. I just happen to have something to ask for Uncle 13, or let's go see him together now, how about that? Now? Luo Li was a little flustered, but when she saw Chen Daoxuan's clear eyes, her heart suddenly calmed down. She nodded lightly, okay, I'll listen to you. Chapter 283. Just like Chen Daoxian imagined. When Chen Xianhe saw Chen Daoxian and Luo Li coming hand in hand, his expression was gentle and he didn't say much. However, Chen Daoxian found that Uncle 13's temples were completely gray. Counting the time, Chen Xianhe is now over 100 years old. Coupled with the fact that Chen Xianhe was injured in the Battle of Zenangwan that year, if not for the longevity effect of the Millennium Vermilion Fruit, Chen Xianhe would have died. Even if there is 1,000 years of Zhuguo's longevity, Chen Xian's lifespan is not much now. In the secret room, Chen Daoxian sat cross-legged, and now he can only hope that the essence of vitality can bring him some surprises. Although he knew clearly in his heart, the essence of vitality was useless to the soul. Because when the Purple Mansion was opened, Chen Daoxian relied on his own sense of divine soul to incorporate the divine soul into the Purple Mansion. During the whole process, the vitality essence did not help him. In the world of cultivating immortals, all things that can act on the soul are extremely rare treasures. Not to mention let the cultivator's soul fade away from decay and regain its vitality. Now, with the strength of Chen Daoxian and the power of the Chen family getting stronger and stronger, his horizons have also broadened many times than in the past. Chen Daoxian knew how difficult it was to help a cultivator who was close to his lifespan build his foundation. If the essence of vitality has no effect on Uncle 13, then there is only one way to ask the master of Jinhai Palace. The plan now is to continue to strengthen yourself. Think of this. Chen Daoxian simply put away the distracting thoughts in his mind and concentrated on studying how to improve his own strength. After all, the recovery of Zhenangwen is imminent. Although his current strength is difficult to meet opponents in the Zifu period, it is far from enough to meet the powerful Jin Dan Jinren. Chen Daoxian can't believe it. The real Jin Dan sent by the Xianqing Dao League to be stationed at Zhenangwen is a Jin Dan cultivator who has just broken through. Besides, he didn't even know if the Xianqing Dao League had secretly arranged it. If you want to protect yourself and your family in the next battle to recover Zhenangwen, you can only strengthen your own strength. He gave Chen Daochu 96 drops of the power of good fortune to create a third-order power spirit armor, just to strengthen the strength of the clan. Now, he wants to improve his strength. Chen Daoxian gained a lot from this trip to the real fairyland. Of all the gains, the first one is naturally that the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic has broken through to the third floor, and has added a new Dao Dao function. Not only that, but he also used the Dao deriving function to record a copy of the battle between a powerful human cultivator and a demon in the true immortal realm thousands of years ago. The Dao Law and the Dao Stone Steel will slowly fade and dissipate over time. And the pictures recorded by the Dao Dao function will never dissipate as long as Chen Daoxian is willing. He can comprehend the powerful acts of the human race all the time, just like an outsider comprehends the Avenue Stone Tablet, and the efficiency is not known to be much higher than others. In addition to the breakthrough in the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic, the second-place gain is naturally that Chen Daoxian obtained a massive amount of chaos qi from the true immortal origin realm. Not to mention the chaotic aura he obtained by using the fox demons of the Qingqiu demon country and killing thousands of world demons. When the true immortal origin realm returned to the ruins, he obtained the biggest chaotic energy in his life. As a result, there was too much stardust of comprehension fed back by the golden scriptures at the end, expanding the dark red planet to hundreds of miles in diameter, almost bursting the sea of divine light and the sea of consciousness, and he stopped reluctantly. Think of this. Chen Daoxuan's consciousness sank into the sea of consciousness, watching the dark red planet that looked like a giant celestial body. No, the sea. Whether it is the golden scriptures or the various light clusters formed by the knowledge he has learned, they all appear very insignificant in front of this dark red planet. This dark red planet occupies more than 90% of the space of the sea of consciousness. Looking intently, there is a huge sense of oppression. In fact, according to Chen Daoxuan's original consciousness entering the sea of consciousness left by the dead immortal, a mere celestial body with a diameter of several hundred kilometers is nothing at all in front of the immortal's boundless sea of consciousness. But for Chen Daoxuan's sea of consciousness with a diameter of 500 miles, the size of this dark red planet is a bit terrifying. Fortunately, although the size of this planet is large, it does not prevent him from using the functions of enlightenment and derivation of the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic. This made Chen Daoxian heave a sigh of relief. The bigger the volume, the bigger the volume. At present, it seems that there is no harm. On the contrary, because its volume has increased greatly, the consumption of its volume is negligible every time the enlightenment and derivation functions are used. Chen Daoxian muttered. Apart from these two major gains, Chen Daoxian doesn't really value the other gains. For example, the essence of vitality, blood marrow, and the 2 bottles of fortune power that Fairy Qiao coveted. Among the 3 major gains, the essence of vitality is currently the least helpful to Chen Daoxian himself. Therefore, he gave almost all the essence of vitality to the family, so that the foundation-building cultivators in the family could take this opportunity to be promoted to the Zifu period. The blood marrow was a little more helpful to him. After all, compared with qi refining, Chen Daoxuan's body refining is still far behind, and he is still at the level derived from flesh and blood. Improving body training is also one of the directions that Chen Daoxian will work hard for next. He has seen the perverted demon body of the demon king of blood prison, and he knows how powerful the body is and how much advantage it can have in battle. As for the power of creation he got from selling the law of the great Tao, it should help him the most at present. Because when he was in the true immortal origin realm, Chen Daoxian discovered that the magic weapon in his hand could no longer keep up with his own strength. The third-order high-grade flying sword is naturally enough for ordinary late-stage cultivators of Zifu. However, with Qin Daoxuan's strong mana and profound Kendo realm, the third-order high-grade immortal sword has very limited increase in his strength. If his Kendo realm is raised to the fourth realm of the realm, I am afraid that Qin Daoxian holding a third-order high-grade fairy sword is not much different from empty-handed. If there is no power of creation, Qin Daoxian can only find a way to buy the fourth-order fairy sword. Although the fourth-order immortal sword is extremely precious, the price is at least dozens of times more expensive than the third-order high-grade immortal sword. But in general, it is still better to buy than the third-order high-grade spirit armor. Whether it is the Yuanying family or the Qianyuan Jianzong, there are basically immortal swords and other attacking instruments of this rank for sale. The price of a third-order high-grade flying sword usually ranges from 1 million spirit stones to several million spirit stones, depending on the quality of the flying sword. And the fourth-order fairy sword, even the lowest-grade fourth-order low-grade fairy sword, the price has reached the terrifying tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of spirit stones. As for the fourth-order high-grade fairy sword, the price can reach hundreds of millions or even billions of spirit stones. The price of a fourth-order fairy sword is enough to be worth a fourth-order or even fifth-order spiritual vein, which is extremely exaggerated. But this is the case with the treasures of the Xiao Xian world. The more high-level monks use the magic weapon and medicine pill, the more terrifying the price. This is still the power of creation in the spirit stone, and high-level monks can also use it. If there is no power of creation in the spirit stone, the spirit stone will be worthless to the aloof nascent soul true monarch. I'm afraid that beings like that will be more inclined to barter. In fact, even if the spirit stone is useful to the true monarch Yuanying, they rarely use the spirit stone directly in the transaction, but regard the refined power of creation as the hard currency for each other. It's just that although the power of creation is good, it requires true monarch Yuanying to spend hard work to refine it. Except for those who have just broken through to the nascent soul stage and need to replace high-level instruments and secret methods, the nascent soul true monarch with a poor value is willing to spend time refining the power of creation. The other wealthy Yuanying true monarchs simply do not want to do such drudgery. A cultivator in the early nascent soul spent a year to extract a drop of the power of good fortune from 100 million spiritual stones. The value of this drop of good fortune power is probably worth hundreds of millions of spiritual stones. In other words, Qin Daoxian just smashed the second-order power spirit armor to the third-order low-grade, and spent hundreds of millions of spirit stones, and he could buy a fourth-order flying sword. But in the same way, the power of the third-order low-grade power spirit armor is not comparable to the third-order flying sword. Even a cultivator of Zifu holding a fourth-order flying sword could not break through the defense of this third-order low-grade power spirit armor. This shows the metamorphosis of the high-level spirit armor. In terms of qi refining, my current qi refining cultivation base has reached the 6th floor of the Purple Mansion, and then I can use the essence of vitality to raise it to the 9th floor of the Purple Mansion. As for body refinement, although blood marrow can also improve body refinement cultivation, it still takes time to slowly improve compared with vitality essence to improve qi cultivation. In addition to my own cultivation, the promotion of foreign objects now has the greatest improvement in my strength. Qin Daoxian thought about it secretly, and quickly sorted out his thoughts. Cleanse the magic weapon. Including a series of attack and defense instruments such as fairy swords and spirit armor, especially spirit armor. Qin Daoxian intends to re-refine his own life spirit armor and the third-grade good fortune white lotus into a new type of power spirit armor, and then use the power of good fortune to thoroughly refine it. He intends to refine a fourth-order power spirit armor. Qin Daoxian believes that once he has a fourth-order power spirit armor, his body defense will change from the original weakness to his own strength. In terms of soul defense, Qin Daoxian has never been counseled by the golden scriptures in the Sea of Knowledge. In terms of physical defense, he is much inferior. But with the fourth-order power spirit armor, the situation will be very different. Thinking of this, Qin Daoxian was full of energy. Suddenly, the glazed spirit armor seemed to break a certain limitation, and the aura suddenly increased dozens of times. This is a fourth-order low-grade spirit armor. Qin Daoxian was very surprised. However, the change of this glass spirit armor is not over yet. Because Qin Daoxian just dropped the power of creation on it just now is too much. The blue spirit armor in Qin Fuxing's hand, Qin Daoxian used a total of 4 drops of the power of good fortune. The value of these 4 drops of good fortune is definitely more than 1 billion spirit stones, and it is priceless. It took 4 drops of the power of good fortune to promote Qin Daoxian to the 3rd order high-grade cyan spirit armor. And his glass spirit armor cost a full 50 drops of the power of good fortune. Just upgrading to the 4th order lower grade is naturally far from over. Really? As the limitation of this glazed spirit armor was broken, and after being promoted to the 4th order low-grade spirit armor, the aura condensed at its core became stronger and stronger. Gradually, even Qin Daoxian felt a huge pressure. You must know that in terms of strength, today's Qin Daoxian is almost comparable to the weaker middle-stage Jindan cultivator. Even so, he was still intimidated by the coercion of this spirit armor. Fortunately, this spirit armor was a defensive magic weapon. If it attacked the magic weapon, it would explode at such a close distance, and Qin Daoxian would be seriously injured. Tier 4 middle grade, Tier 4 top grade. After the spirit armor was upgraded to the 4th rank high grade, Lingyun continued to climb a bit, and then slowly converged into the interior of the spirit armor. 4th level high grade spirit armor. Qin Daoxian stared at the pair of spirit armor in front of him, and his breathing gradually became faster. He was sure that more than 90% of Jindan real people could not have a 4th order high grade spirit armor by their side. Not to mention the enhanced version of the 4th order high-grade spirit armor in his hand. Thanks to the White Lotus of Good Fortune as the core power source, the defensive power of this 4th order high-grade spirit armor in Qin Daoxian's hands is almost as good as that of the 5th rank low-grade spirit armor. 5th order spirit armor, that is the treasure that Yuanying Jinjuan is qualified to possess. And it's not the kind of Yuanying Jinjuan who just broke through. With this spirit armor, Qin Daoxian's defensive power has become his longest point from the original short board. True monarch non-Yuanying cannot be broken. Touching the glazed spirit armor in front of him, Qin Daoxian suddenly said such a sentence. Chapter 284, In the Secret Room. Qin Daoxian looked at the mini cyan-colored glass spirit armor suspended in his palm, and the more he looked at it, the more joy he felt in his heart. 50 drops of the power of creation, at least tens of billions of spirit stones. Qin Daoxian shook his head, so many spirit stones in exchange for spirit armor, TSK. He knew in his heart that it would be difficult to obtain the second piece of spirit armor of this rank in a short period of time. Because of the remaining 50 drops of the power of creation, Qin Daoxian will also use it to promote his life-flying sword and keep it for emergencies. It is impossible to use up all of it. The power of good fortune, unless Qin Daoxian becomes a cultivator of Yuanying, it may not be so easy to obtain it again. Think of this. Qin Daoxian couldn't help feeling distressed for the 96 drops of the power of creation that Qin Daochu was going to. 96 drops of the power of creation can almost be promoted to 2 4th order high-grade power spirit armors. In theory, it is not very cost-effective to replace it with 96 3rd-order spirit armors. After all, the value of a piece of high-grade 4th-grade spirit armor is definitely above 50 pairs of low-grade 3rd-grade spirit armor. But in terms of the increase in the strength of the family, 100 pairs of 3rd-order low-grade spirit armors obviously improved the strength of the Qin family even more. Because the Qin family is about to give birth to hundreds of cultivators in the Zifu, it is precisely when a large number of 3rd-order spirit armors are needed, and a single 4th-order spirit armor does not improve the family's strength so significantly. Of course, Qin Daoxian also has a way, that is to use the favor owed to him by the owner of Jinhai Palace, and use 96 drops of the power of good fortune to find Shenyuan Jianzong to buy 3rd-order spirit armor, so there must be more than one 3rd-order spirit armor that can be bought. Hundreds. But looking for the 3rd-order low-grade spirit armor exchanged by Shenyuan Jianzong, firstly, the defense power is far less than the 3rd-rank low-grade power spirit armor refined by the Qin family. You must know that the favors owed to him by the Hall Master of Jinhai Palace were exchanged for the most precious Space Dao Law of the true immortal origin realm. Even the Hall Master of Jinhai Palace could not estimate the value of this treasure for a while, so he could only owe Chen Daoxian a favor. This kind of favor, or the grace of enlightenment, the Hall Master of Jinhai Palace must pay a considerable price to repay. If Chen Daoxian wasted like this favor would become less and less valuable. Human affection is the most unbearable thing to consume. And Chen Daoxian has already figured out how to use this favor, and he will not waste it just because of a few third-order spirit armors. After refining the natal spirit armor, Chen Daoxian did the same, and promoted Feishue and Qingying 2 natal swords to the 4th rank high grade. The 4th order high grade flying sword should only be used by Jindan real people. With Chen Daoxian's strength, he can barely use it, but it consumes a lot. But with the 4th order high grade power spirit armor, the last thing Chen Daoxian is afraid of is consumption. In his life spirit armor, there is a 4th grade good fortune white lotus inlaid, which can store a huge amount of mana. Although he has not done any specific experiments, he estimates that this copy of life spirit armor can store more than 100 times his own mana. With such a treasure, how could Chen Daoxian be afraid to consume it? Lingjia and Feijian were all refined and promoted, and Chen Daoxian still had 40 drops of the power of creation left in his hands. These 40 drops of the power of creation, Chen Daoxian intends to store in the family library, will not be used again easily. The next days, Chen Daoxian used the essence of vitality to raise his cultivation base to the 9th floor of the Purple Mansion. So far, the benefits he gained from the true immortal origin realm have been initially digested. Although he owns 2 high-grade 4th rank immortal swords, his immortal sword's attack power has only jumped from the top Jindan early stage to the ordinary Jindan middle stage, which is almost comparable to that of the Blood Prison Demon King. But Chen Daoxian's defense has improved too much. With the defensive power of the 4th tier high-grade power spirit armor, let alone the Jindan cultivator, I am afraid that even the attack of the Yuanying Jinjuan, he can withstand a few times. With his current strength, he can say that Zifu is invincible. Even with the defensive power of the 4th order high-grade power spirit armor, Chen Daoxian at this time was extremely difficult to deal with in the real person of Jindan. Because other Jindan cultivators could not break Chen Daoxian's defense at all except to restrict him by various means. Unexpectedly, I still have such a day of hobmeat. Looking at the deep mana gushing out from the sea of Dantian Qi, Chen Daoxian opened his eyes and smiled. Outside the secret, a Miaomon woman wearing a lavender veil is waiting. Suddenly, the door to the secret room opened. A white figure came out of the secret room. Seeing Chen Daoxian, Luo Li's beautiful eyes lit up slightly, and she hurriedly stepped forward, took Ai Lang's hand, looked up and down, and said with a salute, "Congratulations to your husband for being promoted to the 9th floor of the Purple Mansion, Jindan is in sight." When Chen Daoxian heard the words, he felt joyful in his heart and cupped his hands. "Congratulations to Madam for being promoted to the late stage of Zifu." Hear this. Luo Li showed a smile, and her smile enhanced even the scenery in the courtyard. "By the way, you said last time you wanted to take me to Lingbei Island with you. I don't know when to leave." Luo Li tilted her head and looked at Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian said with a smile, "The head of the Zhou family, Zhou Mingho, broke through the golden pill and invited cultivators from all families to watch the ceremony. My Chen family was also invited." After he said that, he pondered for a moment. "You are now in the late period of Zifu, although it is still early to break through the golden pill and cross the golden pill, but going to see the golden pill cultivator crossing the calamity will have countless benefits for both of you and me." Golden Core Thunder Tribulation. Luo Li's beautiful eyes lit up. Like human monks, mercenary formations also need to transcend tribulation, and the power of thunder tribulation does not need to be small for human monks at all. With the help of the essence of vitality, Luo Li's cultivation improved by leaps and bounds, reaching the 7th floor of the Purple Mansion. But her comprehension of the law of the Great Tao is only in the 1st realm, which is not as good as that of an ordinary Zifu cultivator. Her strength is naturally the bottom of the Zifu cultivator. Even in the late period of Zifu, I am afraid it is not much better than Yang Gongwan, a cultivator in the early period of Zifu. However, compared with Yang Gongwan, Luoli has Chen Daoxian as a Taoist companion, and the speed of improvement in the realm of the Great Tao will definitely be faster in the future. In this way, crossing the Golden Pill Thunder Tribulation is not something that is out of reach for her. Of course, Luoli didn't realize this yet. She simply wanted to see what the rumored terrifying Golden Core Thunder Tribulation was like. Thinking of this, she couldn't wait even more, and a pair of beautiful eyes looked at Chen Daoxian expectantly. Looking at her with such expectant eyes, Chen Daoxian stroked her hair and said, "Don't worry, I will naturally take you there when I finish my family affairs." He paused. It takes a long time for the Zifu cultivator to break through the golden pill, ranging from half a year to several years. Even if we go now, I'm afraid we will have to wait. It was a few months ago that the Zhou family sent out invitations to the outside world. If you count the time, Zhou Mingho is afraid that the step of linking Dan has not been completed, let alone survive the Golden Core Thunder Tribulation. Well, the husband is in charge. Luoli blushed. Settle down lowly. Chen Daoxian flew straight towards the location of the Chen family's discussion hall. Consciousness swept away. Chen Daoxian found Chen Daolian's location. After a stick of incense, Chen Daoxian found Chen Dalian, who was working at a desk in a quaint fairy hall. This is not only the financial department of the Chen family, but also the core authority of the Chen family. In the hall, a slender figure sat at the table, looking at various jade slips. Next to it, a group of female cultivators from the Chen family were helping Chen Dalian sort out the information. In the days when Chen Daoxian was not in the family, Chen Dalian not only had to manage the affairs of the Chen family, but also managed a large immortal city, which made him a little tired. Missing half a month, Chen Daoxian found that Chen Dalian had broken through to the Purple Palace period. "Dalian, congratulations on your promotion to Zifu." Hearing the gentle voice in her ear, Chen Dalian raised her head quickly and said in surprise, "Young patriarch, you are here." Having said that, he stood up from the table and walked up to Chen Daoxian quickly. Chen Daoxian nodded with a smile, "Come and see you." Hearing this, Chen Dalian said with a smile, "If the young patriarch wants to see me, he should call me directly. Why should he come to the door in person? During this period of time, you must have been so busy with your family and Xiancheng's affairs that your head is three-pointed. It's not too unkind to call you again as an idler." Hearing these joking words, Chen Dalian covered her mouth and laughed lightly. While joking, Chen Daoxian waved to the female cultivator of the Chen family who saluted him. Seeing that only he and Chen Dalian were left in the hall, Chen Daoxian restrained the smile on his face and asked, "How is it? Have all the selected monks been promoted to the Purple Palace period? Talk about business." Chen Dalian immediately became serious and said, "Chief Patriarch, the family has selected a total of 488 foundation building cultivators. Currently, there are 483 people who have been promoted to the Zifu period, and 5 people have not been able to break through." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian frowned. 13 bottles of vitality essence, can't break through the Purple Palace? Seeing that Chen Dalian was speechless, Chen Daoxian waved his hand and said, "Forget it, the resource supply for these 5 people will be lowered by 1 level in the future." "Yes, young patriarch," Chen Dalian responded. "Did you send the spirit armor of the Magical Instrument Research Institute to you?" "Sent here." Speaking of the third-order spirit armor, Chen Daolian's eyes lit up. "Young patriarch, these third-order spirit armors are too precious, I don't think they can just supply the clansmen for free." Chen Daoxian nodded, "That's the reason. The reason why the essence of vitality is distributed to the clansmen is because it is not easy to preserve, either sell it to the outside world, or use it early. My Chen family has no shortage of spirit stones, so it is naturally impossible to sell them. The only way is to select clan members in advance and use them for clan members. But the third-order spirit armor is different. Most of these third-order spirit armors need to be stored in the clan library, and will be used to reward potential and contributing clansmen in the future. Hear this. Chen Daolian nodded again and again. I have the same opinion as you. The family's promotion of so many Zifu cultivators at one time, although the family's strength has skyrocketed, it has also broken the distribution system that the family has established for a long time. If these third-order spirit armors are distributed easily, it will inevitably make some clansmen feel that they can get something for nothing, which is not conducive to the development of the clan. Good. Hearing Chen Daolian's opinion, Chen Daoxian nodded with satisfaction. He found that after managing the family during this period, Chen Daolian grew rapidly. Although the flow of people in Guanhai Xianqing dropped drastically during the time he was away from home, it was not a management problem of Chen Daolian, but the competition between Zhou and Yang and the Chen family. Except for Guanhai Xianqing, the Chen family did not encounter any problems in the clan of Shuanghu Island. This is enough to prove Chen Daolian's ability to manage the family. Then what do you think should be done with this batch of third-order spirit armor? These spirit armors were indeed prepared by Chen Daoxian for the newly promoted cultivator of the Zifu family. He wanted to equip the family monks with armor, but was worried that the free supply would make the clan slack. Chen Daolian pondered for a moment, then looked up and said, provide 50 pairs of spirit armor to the military, temporarily store the remaining 46 pairs of spirit armor in the family library, and then use the method of consuming family contribution points to lend it to the clan. Rental? Chen Daoxian pondered, the third-order spirit armor is priceless, even if it is sold to the clansmen, few clansmen can afford it, and the way of leasing is not bad. It can not only enhance the strength of the tribe, but also will not let them have the idea of getting something for nothing. Chen Daolian nodded, that's the truth. In the future, if there are clansmen who can afford it, they can also buy it back. Of course, whether or not to sell it to the clansmen is up to you, the young patriarch. Little slicker. Chen Daoxian smiled and shook his head. He pondered for a while, and waved his hand, it's good to give the clan a hope. In the future, if the clan can afford these spirit armors, they can buy them directly. The price is tentatively set at 300 million spirit stones. 300 million spirit stones, I am afraid that even a drop of the power of creation can't afford it. This price is already the price of falling through the center of the earth. If it was sold to outsiders, Chen Daoxian would not sell it even if he bid 1 billion. 1 billion spiritual stones is almost the value of 10 fourth-order spiritual veins. Looking at Chen Daolian's bitter face, Chen Daoxian smiled and said, don't make a bitter face, I told you how hard it was when the spirit stone coins were issued. The difficulties we encounter now are nothing at all, and in the future, we will encounter more and more resistance. After thinking for a while, Chen Daoxian continued, the way the Zhou family and the Yang family attacked my Chen family's Xiancheng is just to give benefits to the loose cultivators. But they forgot that even if they gave the benefits to the loose cultivators, in essence the major immortal cities were still exploiting the loose cultivators. He paused, Xiancheng's cake is so big, family cultivators eat more, and loose cultivators eat less. This is a zero-sum game. We compete with Zhou and Yang in this way, and in the end it's just a matter of competition and consumption of heritage. So, I'm going to change the way of competition. Chen Daolian was taken aback, in what way? I intend to scale up the industry. Expanding the scale of industry? Chen Daolian was startled, you mean? Yes, it's time to implement the industrial fairy city plan I proposed to you. Chen Daoxian's eyes were deep. Hearing the words, Industrial Fairy City Plan, Chen Daolian trembled slightly with excitement. My Chen family, have you finally taken this step now? She murmured. Chapter 285. Seeing Chen Daolian's excited appearance. Chen Daoxian said with a smile, don't be in a hurry to get excited. It will not happen overnight to build our Guanhai Xianqing into an industrial fairy city. This is different from the small industrial zone on Shuanghu Island. Hearing this reminder, Chen Daolian also calmed down and nodded seriously. As the acting patriarch of the Chen family, Chen Daolian has been worrying about the family's industrial production issues during this time. After all, these industries are the lifeblood of the Chen family. She knew that the industrial area of Shuanghu Island was completely different from the industrial city described by Chen Daoxian. The industrial fairy city that Chen Daoxian wants to build is not so much to industrialize Guanhai Xiancheng, but to create an industrial city circle with the industrial city of Guanhai Xiancheng as the core. Nowadays, the industries involved in the Chen family are divided into three categories: the magic tool industry, the medicine industry, and the magic talisman industry. But break it down. Each of these industrial types can be divided into countless industrial branches. Just like the magic industry. After so many years of development and perfection, the Chen family's current magic tool industry is no longer the time to rely on a melting furnace to conquer the world. Now, the Chen family's magic tool industry can produce most of the first-order and second-order magic tools. Note that the magic weapon here does not only refer to flying swords, but even spirit armor and other auxiliary magic tools. Of course, the core of the magic weapon industry is the Rongling furnace. Because of the existence of the Rongling furnace, the Chen family's half-handed craftsmen can grow up quickly, and their efficiency is dozens of times that of traditional craftsmen. In the Shuanghu Island industrial zone, it is not an easy thing to produce a magic weapon from scratch. Problems need to be solved, including the supply of spiritual ore, the production of melting furnace, the construction of factory buildings, the production process of magic tools, the training of smiths, and the training of industrial workers. There are also energy issues in the production of instruments, environmental pollution issues, and so on. Solving all these problems will not happen overnight. Under the guidance of Chen Daoxian, the Chen family has been groping for decades before they can confidently say that they have so much experience. If outsiders only get a melting furnace, at best they can set up a handicraft workshop like Chen Daoxian. It is simply unrealistic to achieve industrial production on the scale of the Chen family. The Chen family's magical instrument industry has developed to this day, and it is no longer comparable to the handicraft workshops of the past. Even, the Institute of Magical Instruments has been studying the automatic refining equipment that abandons the half-handed refiner. Once successful, the Chen family's instrument industry is truly unique. Although the development time of the medicine pill industry is a little shorter, it is also the same. Small workshop production and large-scale factory production are completely different. Chen Jia spent decades improving the production process, summarizing production experience and improving production technology, and finally realized the leap from a small workshop to a large factory. The hardships involved are unimaginable to outsiders. Because the Chen family has been exploring on their own from beginning to end, and has no experience to refer to, even Chen Daoxian couldn't give them much help. After all, the industrial production in the immortal cultivation world is not the same as the industrial production in the previous life, and it is specious in many places. Dalian, how many monks in my Chen family are working in the magic weapon factory? Heard. Chen Dalian blurted out, there are a total of 7,657 people. So much? Chen Daoxian was amazed. Chen Dalian nodded and said, the family's magic weapon factory provides the most jobs for the monks in the family. In this regard, the family's medicine pill factory can't be compared. There are only about 30,000 monks in the family, and there are nearly 8,000 people in the magic weapon factory, which is about one-third of the family's monk population. Yes, Chen Dalian sighed, the magic weapon factory needs the largest number of monks, and its production efficiency is also the lowest compared to the medicine pill factory and the magic talisman factory. A large population demand is a good thing, what I want is that it has a large population demand. Hearing this, Chen Dalian was a little confused. After thinking for a while, Chen Dalian raised her head. What do you mean, the employment population required by the magic weapon factory has something to do with the competition between Lingde Immortal City and Guang'an Prefecture Immortal City? Of course it does, Chen Daoxian smiled and said, why can the Zhou family and the Yang family rob me of the loose repairs in Guanhai Xiancheng? It's not by paying higher wages to those who are attached to them. However, whether the loose cultivators are planting spiritual fields for the Zhou and Yang families or raising spiritual beasts for the two families, their own productivity is limited. No matter how high the wages the Zhou-Yang family gave them, it was impossible to exceed the value created by the loose cultivators. When Chen Daolian heard these words, she thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. The Zhou family and the Yang family are not philanthropists either. In Wangxinghai, any immortal city is essentially serving the owner of the immortal city and seeking benefits for them. And the major immortal cities attract scattered cultivators because the more scattered cultivators, the greater the benefits they can create for immortal cities. As the owner of Xiancheng, you can reap more benefits. At the same time, the ruler of Xiancheng will also give some soup to the loose cultivators to maintain a stable economic cycle. Of course. In this process, exploitation is inevitable. As for the degree of exploitation, it depends on their means and degree of ruthlessness. The Chen family's Guanhai Xiancheng is also one of them. The income of Guanhai Xiancheng once surpassed the Chen family's magic weapon factory and medicine pill factory, until the factory was expanded and the magic talisman factory was established. These major industrial industries have become the unshakable core interests of the Chen family. This shows how terrifying the interests of a fairy city are. After all, Guanhai Xiancheng is just a small town with a population of only hundreds of thousands of resident monks. Not to mention compared to the big immortal city with a population of tens of millions of monks like Yuanshan Xiancheng. Even compared with the immortal city of Guang'an Prefecture, the immortal city of Guanhai is far inferior. Such a small fairy city, the benefits are so exaggerated. One can imagine how terrifying the annual benefits of a large immortal city like Yuanshan Immortal City should be. It's no wonder that Jinjuan Yuanshan took out 10 billion spiritual stones and asked Zhou Mubai to take action. Then, from Chen Daoxuan's hands, he spent 120 drops of the power of creation to take away a stone tablet. Chen Daoxian even suspected that the 120 drops of the power of good fortune were probably bought by Yuanshan Zhenjin's spirit stone, and not extracted by him himself. After all, this is a good money lord. Seeing Chen Daolian's thoughtful look, Chen Daoxian continued, and the loose cultivators are not the same in our Chen family's hands, they will work in our factory. In this way, the value created by the loose cultivators is at least dozens or even hundreds of times higher than in the past. And the benefits we give to the loose cultivators are far beyond what the Zhou family and Yang family can match. Hear this. Chen Daolian's eyes opened wider and wider, and in the end, even her breathing became rapid. She couldn't believe it, but she couldn't think of a reason to refute it. Seeing her unbelievable appearance, Chen Daoxian understood her very well. I haven't personally seen the crushing of advanced industrial production on backward manual production, and I can't believe the gap. Chen Daolian still knows how high the production efficiency of his magic weapon factory is. Changed to someone who had never seen the Chen family's magic tool factory, and thought that Chen Daoxian was just talking nonsense. Chen Daoxian smiled confidently and said, "There are many things to do to build an industrial fairy city, but the first step is to build a school in Guanhai Xiancheng." Build a school? Chen Daolian suddenly remembered the days when Chen Daoxian taught them to make utensils in the handicraft workshop. You mean, build a school to train professional craftsmen? Chen Daoxian knew the meaning of the so-called professional refiner in Chen Daolian's mouth. Nodding, yes. He paused. Building this school is not easy. In addition to ensuring enough melting furnaces, it also needs abundant industrial workers to help them. Therefore, we must continue to train industrial workers. You mean we have to build crash schools for ordinary industrial workers? Yes, and it's a massive construction. Chen Daoxian nodded. When Chen Daolian heard these words, she didn't dare to neglect her. She hurried to the table and picked up a blank jade slip. Combine the opinions Chen Daoxian just put forward, combined with his own thoughts, and enter them into the jade slip one by one. After recording the jade slip, Chen Daolian raised her head. "Young patriarch, let ordinary people and family monks work together in the clan. I still have the confidence to manage, but let ordinary people and loose cultivators work together. I am worried." Worried that the loose cultivator will insult ordinary mortals? Chen Daolian nodded. There will be black sheep everywhere, just deal with them after they are found. Chen Daoxuan's expression was indifferent, But we can't be intimidated by those black sheep. The nearly 500 cultivators of the Zifu family can't suppress a fairy city? What are you afraid of? Hearing this, Chen Dalian was suddenly shocked. If the young patriarch didn't say anything, she had forgotten that the Chen family had long since changed. Southwest waters of Wangxinghai. High in the air. A spirit boat departed from Taizhou and flew towards Zhangzhou. Inside the Lingzhou cabin is a small cave, full of immortal energy. In the depths of the cave stood a fairy palace, and vaguely, you could see the beautiful maids passing through it. In the center of Asgard, in an empty hall, 2 monks, one old and one young, are playing a game. Generally speaking, monks who are successful in practice will have good looks and skills, and they are no different from young people in appearance. However, this monk looked like an old man. However, his cultivation base is extremely high, and he can become the nascent soul true monarch in just one step. He is a top-level Jindan real person. The young man opposite the old man has a bright and starry eyes. What is more eye-catching is that there is a divine pattern on the center of his eyebrows. This person is the Daozi of the Jiang family, Jiang Chenai. Snapped, saying that, the silver-haired old man fell and immediately captured Jiang Chenyes' dragon. Jiang Chenai was stunned for a moment, and then he cupped his hands with a wry smile. Seventh uncle's chess is far superior to me, and Chenyi is convinced. Who knows to hear this? The silver-haired old man shook his head. It's not that my chess skills are far superior to yours, but your heart is too messy to be on this chessboard at all. With that said, the silver-haired old man gently put the remaining pieces in the jade urn. Seeing Jiang Chenyes' dejected expression, the silver-haired old man asked, "This old man has practiced for more than 630 years. During this period, he has seen countless geniuses, but most of them have turned into a handful of lusts. You know why this is?" Jiang Chenai shook his head. Compared with the endless avenue, you and I are no different. You are just a drop in the ocean, a momentary lead, in the face of this long road to seek the road. What is it? Seeing Jiang Chenai being thoughtful, the silver-haired old man continued, on the path of cultivation, what is more precious than courage and diligence is to have a persevering and never give up Dao heart heard. Jiang Chenai was stunned for a while. After a long time, he raised his head and solemnly bowed his hands to the silver-haired old man. Thank you, seventh uncle, for clearing your doubts. Seeing his appearance, the silver-haired old man nodded in relief. When you come to Zhangzhou this time, I will help you cut off your demons. The silver-haired old man smiled indifferently. Hearing this, Jiang Chenyes' mind suddenly became alive. Seventh uncle, do you think Zhou Mingho, the ancestor of the Zhou family, can survive the Golden Core Thunder Tribulation? Hear the words Jindan Lei Jia. Even though the silver-haired old man was in the late stage of Jindan cultivation, he still looked serious. Jindan Thunder Calamity is no trivial matter. Even if he reaches the 3rd stage of the Great Tao, he still does not dare to say that he will be able to survive this calamity. As far as I know, Zhou Mingho is only in the realm of the 2nd layer of the Tao. It is difficult. Saying that, the silver-haired old man shook his head. Hearing this, Jiang Chenai, who was going to survive the calamity in the future, felt tight in his heart. Even the 7th uncle, who is known as the closest ancestor to the nascent soul ancestor in the clan, has changed his color about the Golden Core Thunder Tribulation. One can imagine the horror of this catastrophe. As if thinking of something, Jiang Chenai frowned. If that's the case, why does the family send such a big gift to the Zhou family? You said that these 10 third-order high-grade spirit armors? The silver-haired old man smiled. This is Zhou Mingho's congratulatory gift after he succeeded in breaking through the golden pill. If he fails... He shook his head. Then let's choose the Chen family. Chen family? Jiang Chenai frowned. For some reason, when he mentioned the Chen family, he thought of Chen Daoxian. This little guy, who was not in his eyes at all, actually stood up in the real fairy source world with a sweeping attitude, which made him, Jiang Jia Tianjiao, extremely uncomfortable. But Jiang Chenai knew that choosing a proxy family in Zhangzhou was the family's grand strategy, and it was impossible for him to change it based on his personal preferences. The silver-haired old man did not know what Jiang Chenai was thinking, and said to himself, the Zhou family and the Chen family are the two most potential families in Zhangzhou. The Zhou family, as an old-fashioned Jindan family, has a deep family background, while the Chen family's background is shallow, but Chen Daoxuan's potential seems to be greater than that of Zhou Mubai. So my Jiang family wants to secretly control Zhangzhou, so I can only choose one of these two big families. Seventh uncle is more optimistic about the Zhou family? Do not. The silver-haired old man shook his head. I'm more optimistic about the Chen family. Jiang Chenye's right hand tightened slightly. He smiled and said, oh? Is it because of Chen Daoxian? Not just because of him. The silver-haired old man shook his head. I have carefully investigated the Chen family, and I found that the rise of this family was completed in less than 30 years. What? Jiang Chenai looked at the silver-haired old man in disbelief, and was speechless. In Wanxinghai, which immortal clan does not have a 1,000-year-old heritage? As for his Jiang family, its inheritance has a long history, and it can even be traced back to the ancient times. It is a branch of the real ancient immortal clan. And what about the Chen family? In less than 30 years, it has risen to become a family that can rival a 1,000-year-old family like the Zhou family. This Chen family must have a big secret. Jiang Chenai was decisive. There must be a secret. The silver-haired old man nodded. Actually, each family has its own secrets to grow and develop, and it's probably just some means of earning money. I'm not curious about this secret. As long as his Chen family can be used by my Jiang family, that's enough. But since the Chen family is not short of money, can it still be used by my Jiang family? Of course. The silver-haired old man smiled and said, do you think the method of refining purple armor can impress the Chen family? What? Hearing this, Jiang Chenye's eyes widened. Obviously, with the current financial resources of the Chen family, it is as easy as eating and drinking for a chi-refining cultivator to build a foundation. But he was powerless to the longevity of the old Chen family. This kind of feeling is like a billionaire watching his relatives who could have been cured with just a small amount of money, but because he lacked money and could not be treated in time, he was terminally ill, and finally he had to stay in bed and wait to die. This kind of pain, people who have not experienced it, can't understand it at all. The reason why Chen Xianhe did not dissuade Chen Daoxian was because Chen Xianhe knew that Chen Daoxian must be very painful at this moment. This kind of pain of watching their relatives die is also one of the disasters that monks must experience. The reason why many cultivators become indifferent is because they have practiced for a long time, and they have experienced emotional numbness after too many separations. Chen Daoxian felt pain because he was still young and it was the first time he had experienced this feeling. Facing Chen Xian's gentle gaze, Chen Daoxuan's belief became more and more firm. He will definitely find the treasure that heals the soul for Chen Xianhe. He must let Chen Xianhe build the foundation successfully. Think of this. The haze on Chen Daoxuan's face disappeared, and he smiled again and said, Uncle 13, I want to bring Zhangzhou into the Chen family's control. There was also a smile on Chen Xian's wrinkled face. I believe you can do it well. It seemed that Chen Xianhe looked a little tired. Chen Daoxian cupped his hands and said, Uncle 13, please rest, I will come back to see you again. Chen Xianhe agreed, but closed his eyes slightly and made a slight snoring sound. It turned out that he fell asleep. Chen Daoxian stood up, walked into the house, took out a blanket and gently covered Chen Xianhe. After doing all this, he whispered to the maid who was standing next to him and was in charge of serving Chen Xianhe, take care of the old patriarch. Yes, young patriarch. The maid responded with sincerity and fear. This maid is not a monk, but an ordinary member of the Chen family. Chen Daoxian not only has great power, but his own cultivation has reached the 9th floor of the Purple Mansion. Even if he has restrained all the momentum on his body, ordinary people will still have a kind of fear from their hearts when facing him. Essentially, this is a kind of coercion of higher beings on the souls of lower beings, and it cannot be eliminated by restraining momentum at all. After visiting Qin Xianhe, Qin Daoxian rushed back to his Lingfu, called Luoli, who was in retreat, and then brought a group of monks from the 10-member army. They rowed the Qin family's large transport ship and drove straight towards Lingbei Island. Inside the cave of a large transport ship, the temporary market is very lively. Compared with the Dongtian artifact captured by Qin Daoxian from the Jiang family cultivator, the Dongtian of the Qin family's large transport ship is much larger. Enough to compare with a small town in the mortal world. It is precisely because of the huge Dongtian world of this large transport ship that it can become the main transport ship for Qianyuan Jianzong to transport materials for the front line. The Zhangzhou cultivators used it to open up trade between the various governments, and it felt like a little overkill. This kind of large transport ship is more than enough to trade with the Zongmin family far away in Xianyunsu, not to mention the interprefecture trade. The volume of each shipment is comparable to all the materials in a small town, and it is conceivable how efficient this transport ship is. In addition to the large cargo volume, this large transport ship is not slow. Although it is not as good as the Spirit Void battleship of the Zhou family, it is not much slower than the Zifu cultivator, who is not good at escaping. Qin Daoxian calculated that if he flew at full speed, the flight speed of this large transport ship is about half of the speed of the Spirit Void battleship. It is very fast. It was nearly 100,000 miles away from Shuanghu Island to the Zhou family's Lingbei Island. At the speed of a large transport ship, they arrived in less than half a day. Inside the ship, Qin Daoxian joined hands with Luoli, watching the 10 monks of the Blessing generation on the sword playing field, and devoted themselves to learning swordsmanship. Have to say, although these monks of the Blessing generation are young, they all have a deep understanding of Kendo. Although it can't be compared with Qin Daoxian, they have also crossed the threshold of the second-level tangible realm of Kendo. Among them, including Qin Fusheng, 9 originally realized the sword intent when they were in the foundation establishment period. There is one more. It was the sword intent that Qin Daoxian realized when he went to Taizhou. That is to say, including Qin Daoxian, the Qin family now has a total of 11 sword cultivators, and they are all sword cultivators from the Purple House. Of course, due to the growth of the essence of vitality, apart from Qin Daoxian and Qin Fusheng, the other sword cultivators in the Purple House seem to be a bit unworthy of their name. The realm of Kendo has only reached the second tangible realm. Not to mention that it is still a long way from the peak of the second realm of form, not to mention the third realm of star transformation. Despite this, the Tao realm of these monks of the Blessing generation is also much stronger than that of the vast majority of the monks of Zifu. In Wangxinghai, the Tao realm of ordinary Zifu monks usually only reaches the first realm of intangibility, and some have not even reached the first realm at all. Those who can reach the second tangible state are considered to be the elites among the cultivators of the Zifu. The best among them can even be on the Zifu Tianjiao list. As for reaching the third stage of star transformation, all of them are at the top of the Zifu Tianjiao list. Not surprisingly, becoming a Jindan cultivator in the future is a sure thing. For example, Zhou Mubai, Qin Daoxian and others are in this state. Although the cultivators of the Qin family have reached the second-level tangible realm of the Great Tao, their cultivation base is still weak, and they are only in the early stage of Zifu. But even so, their strength is still much stronger than that of ordinary late-stage cultivators in Zifu, and they can be regarded as candidates for the Zifu Tianjiao ranking. And Qin Fusheng's strength is even better. After Qin Fusheng broke through the Zifu period, after this period of precipitation, the realm of Kendo has gradually risen to the peak of the second tangible realm. In the realm of Kendo, it is even comparable to Henry Zhongling. However, Qin Fusheng's cultivation base is much lower than that of Henry Zhang, and there is only one floor of Zifu. Therefore, in terms of personal strength, the current Qin Fusheng can barely make it to the Zifu Tianjiao list, probably at the same level as Daoist Twiling. Of course, the evaluation of Qin Fusheng's strength here is based on the premise that they do not wear Tier 3 spirit armor. If you put on the third-order power spirit armor, their strength has to go up a notch. For example, Jiang Chenai, the Daozi of the Jiang family, and Zhang Xianling, a monk of the Zhang family in Cangzhou. In terms of personal strength, the two should be on the same level. However, on the Zifu Tianjiao list, Jiang Qinyes' ranking was nearly 20 places higher than that of Henry Zhang, ranking 27th. The reason is that Jiang Chenai owns the Jiang family's high-level spiritual armor, the purple armor, but Henry Zhang does not. Although Henry Zhang's cultivation base and kendo realm are not inferior to the other party, but the helpless magic weapon is inferior to the other party, and the strength is also a lot worse. You must know that Jiang Chenai, who has a third-tier high-grade spirit armor by his side, is Zhou Mubai himself, and it is not an easy task to take him down. After all, it is not unreasonable that the third-order high-grade spirit armor is called high-grade spirit armor. Even if an ordinary Zifu late-stage cultivator wears it, they can compete with the Tianjiao on the Zifu Tianjiao list, which shows the horror of this high-level spirit armor. If everyone doesn't wear spirit armor, the Tianjiao Zifu on the Zifu Tianjiao list can even kill the ordinary late-stage cultivator of Zifu. When Zhou Mubai was still at the second level of kendo, he almost killed the Zifu zombie who was good at defense with one sword. It was obvious how big the gap between Tianjiao Zifu and ordinary Zifu cultivators was. But such a big gap can be smoothed out by a small third-order spirit armor. This is also the reason why Chenyuan Jianzong strictly controls high-level spirit armor. If you don't control the refining method of high-level spirit armor, and the raw materials of spirit ore for refining high-level spirit armor, the major immortal cultivating families in Wanxinghai can create a group of powerful top-level Zifu monks and even top-level Jindan real people in a very short period of time. In particular, Jindan Jinren, who wears the fourth-order spirit armor, other than the Yuanying Jinjuan, other monks of the same rank are very difficult to do. At that time, the turmoil in Wanxinghai was only an instant. Fusheng. On the sword field. When Chen Fusheng heard Chen Daoxian calling him, he hurried over and bowed slightly. Young patriarch. Chen Daoxian said with a smile, during this time, your kendo has improved a lot, and the thick earth sword intent has almost reached the peak of the second tangible realm. Talking about the progress of his own kendo, the Joyan Chen Fusheng's face flashed away. He cupped his hands and said, to have a blessed life today, it is all thanks to the sermons of the young patriarch. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian smiled and waved his hand, although you have my help, your own kendo talent and diligence are the most important. He paused, the realm of kendo has reached the second peak, and you can already prepare for the creation of your own sword art. When you enter the realm of the third star in the future, and then perfect your sword art, you will almost be able to follow just like Zhou Mubai, he ranks in the top 10 of the Zifu Tianjiao list. Hear this. Even though Chen Fusheng was calm, he still felt a burst of excitement. No one is not well known, especially Chen Fusheng, who is a young man. Zhou Mubai's name has been praised by the monks in Cangzhou, and even has a certain reputation in the entire Wanxinghai. It is impossible to say that Chen Fusheng is not envious at all. Seeing his appearance, Chen Daoxian knew what he was thinking, and nodded. In the past, the policy I made for the family was to hide or shrink development. But today, more than 480 Zifu monks have been born in the family, and it is impossible to hide them. Since I can't hide it, my Chen family simply introduced a representative of the younger generation of the family talking. Chen Daoxian looked at Chen Fusheng with earnest eyes. Chen Fusheng was slightly startled. The representative of the family? You mean the young patriarch? I want to push you as the external face of my Chen family. Chen Daoxian looked at each other calmly. Hearing this, Chen Fusheng's heart was beating like thunder and his mouth was dry. Of course, this facade person is not so easy to be, Chen Daoxian said with a smile. My Chen family is now a big family in Zifu, and there is no shortage of cultivators in Zifu. If you want to be the face of my Chen family, you must at least have the strength of the top 10 in the Zifu Tianjiao list, preferably top 3. Chen Daoxian has high requirements for Chen Fusheng. The top 10 of the Zifu Tianjiao list are almost the strength level of Zhou Mubai. As for the top 3, it is the strength level of Chen Daoxian when he was in the real fairyland. To achieve this level is not an easy task for Chen Fusheng. However, it is not as difficult as imagined. Because Qin Fusheng has a third-order high-grade power spirit armor by his side, his defense can even be comparable to that of a fourth-order low-grade spirit armor. Even the current Zhou Mubai could never break Qin Fusheng's defense. In addition to the thick soil sword intent that Qin Fusheng has realized, he is very good at defense, which makes Qin Fusheng's defense methods, among all Zifu cultivators, at the top level. On defense alone, Qin Fusheng can definitely rank in the top 3 in the Zifu Tianjiao list. The first and second are Qin Daoxian and Fairy Qiyao respectively. Qin Daoxian, needless to say, the fourth-order high-grade power spirit armor is close to him, that is, the Jindan cultivator on the Jindan real person list is here, and he is only a disciple. As for Fairy Qiyao, the fourth-level Dao realm, coupled with the third-level high-grade spirit armor, made her defensive ability surpass the limit of the Zifu cultivator. Even if it is hard to resist the attacks of ordinary Jindan late-stage monks, there is no problem. Apart from the two of them, among all the cultivators in the Purple House, probably only Qin Fusheng had the most terrifying defense. Other top Zifu cultivators, even if they have the third-order high-grade spirit armor in hand, are far inferior to the enhanced version of the third-order high-grade spirit armor in Qin Fusheng's hands. Of course, if Qin Fusheng wanted to be the face of the Qin family, he could not rely on defense alone, and Qin Daoxian couldn't let the outside world think that the Qin family on Shuanghu Island was a turtle family, so he knew how to defend blindly. Therefore, Qin Fusheng's attack methods must keep up. Chapter 287. Looking at the excited young man in front of him, Qin Daoxian smiled slightly. Fusheng, pay attention. Qin Fusheng was stunned for a moment, then quickly held his breath. Qin Daoxian stretched out his jade-like right finger and pointed it 3 inches in front of Qin Fusheng's eyebrows. Immediately, a burst of golden light burst out from Qin Daoxian's fingertips and shot towards Qin Fusheng's eyebrows. Qin Fusheng only felt a huge flow of information pouring into the sea of knowledge. Young Patriarch! Qin Fusheng exclaimed. Concentrate! Qin Daoxian frowned and gave a light drink. Qin Fusheng immediately did not dare to speak anymore, closed his eyes and concentrated, and went all out to accept the magical power that Qin Daoxian taught him. A long time. The golden light dissipated, Qin Fusheng opened his eyes as if from a lifetime, only to see Qin Daoxian standing in front of him, looking at him with a smile. Qin Fusheng immediately knelt to the ground, first banged his head 3 times in a row, then straightened his back and said, "Thank you, the young patriarch, for preaching. Get up." Qin Daoxian stepped forward and helped the most potential junior cultivator of the Qin family. Fusheng, the supernatural power I taught you, called the 3 heads and 6 arms, is a top-level Dharmamage supernatural power. If you want to use the power of this supernatural power, in addition to cultivating the 3-headed and 6-armed Dharma images, you must also master powerful melee skills. You can use external objects such as blood crystals and blood marrow to help you practice the Dharma image, but the melee combat skills have to be learned and experienced by yourself. What I have taught you, in addition to the cultivation method of this supernatural power, is also my own perception of cultivating this supernatural power. You can use it as a reference. Hearing these words, Qin Fusheng kept nodding his head and said solemnly, "Yes, nephew, keep this in mind." Between the two talking, Lingbei Island was already in sight. Qin Daoxian's consciousness swept away and said with a smile, "Let's go, the immortal city of Guang'an Prefecture has arrived." Hear this. Luo Liu on the side tightened her hand slightly and grabbed Qin Daoxian's sleeve. Qin Daoxian knew what she was worried about, so he patted her hand lightly and said, "Relax, I'm here." Hearing this, Luo Li loosened Qin Daoxian's sleeves. Qin Daoxian knew why Luo Li was so nervous. In the early years, the Zhou family had been arresting sharks as slaves, and raising spirit shells for their Zhou family. As a member of the Merman clan, Luo Li naturally hated and feared the Zhou family. Although Qin Daoxian personally came forward and rescued all the Mer people who were imprisoned on Lingbei Island, the Mer people's hatred and fear of the Zhou family remained unchanged. Hundreds of years of arrest and enslavement by the Zhou family, the grievances brought to the Mer people, cannot be eliminated so easily. At this point, Chen Daoxian was also clear in his heart. The grievances between the Mer people and the Zhou family must be completely settled in the future. One is the vassal of the Chen family and the other is the ally of the Chen family. From a personal point of view, Chen Daoxian should stand on the side of the merman, because Luo Li was already his Taoist companion, so he naturally had to stand on the Taoist side. But compared to the Zhou family, the Mer people are too weak, and they are not human. If Chen Daoxian had a bad relationship with the Zhou family for the sake of the merman and spread it out, the reputation that the Chen family had worked so hard to build would be completely destroyed. If the strength of the Chen family is like the Jiang family and the Ji family, it will overwhelm a state, and the reputation will be lost. After all, in the end, in the world, fists have the final say. But the Chen family does not have this strength. Although Chen Daoxian brought back a large amount of vitality essence for his family after the battle of the true immortal origin realm, he created hundreds of Zifu, whose strength is the highest in Cangzhou. But it has not reached the level of completely crushing all the families in Cangzhou. There are so many houses in Cangzhou, and there are many families with more than 10 purple house cultivators in the clan. How can the Chen family really act recklessly? Say it again. This time, although the Chen family benefited the most from the true immortal origin realm group, the other families in Cangzhou also benefited a lot. Although Chen Daoxian manipulated the demons of the Qingqiu demon kingdom to rob them, no one would really be stupid enough to hand over all the essence of vitality. The monks of all ethnic groups who went to the true immortal origin realm last time, as long as they can survive in the end, will have a good harvest. Although it is impossible to be as exaggerated as the Chen family, the overall strength of Cangzhou is bound to skyrocket. The Zhou family, including Zhou Mubai, had about 10 cultivators of the Purple Mansion. After this campaign, dozens of cultivators of the Purple Mansion were born in their family, and Chen Daoxian was not surprised at all. After all, there are many foundation-building cultivators in the Zhou family who entered the real fairyland this time. Unlike the Chen family, there are only two people, Chen Daoxian and Chen Fusheng. The more people sent out, the greater the benefits, which is inevitable. Other families are basically the same. There are a total of 10,000 foundation establishment cultivators in the true immortal origin realm. Although Cangzhou cultivators are not as good as Taizhou and Jingzhou, they still account for more than 2,000 people. Among the more than 2,000 foundation-building cultivators, most of them came from the major immortal clans in Cangzhou, such as the Zhou family, the Zhang family and other big families. Compared with these families, the Chen family at that time was still too poor in terms of background, and there were simply not enough cultivators in the late foundation-building stage to come out. This is also the reason why the Chen family has only Chen Daoxian and Chen Fusheng to enter the real fairyland. Rumbling, the sound of the large transport ship tearing apart the sky was dull and depressing. But people in Guang'an have long been accustomed to it. The Cangzhou Business Alliance has been operating in these years, and the major immortal cities have long been accustomed to the large transport ships that come and go. It has to be said that people's ability to adapt is really terrifying. Even the mortals outside the immortal city of Guang'an Mansion, for a long time, would not be surprised by this. Transport ships are moored in dedicated seaports. Chen Daoxian led Chen Fusheng and other clansmen and flew out of the giant ship. Everyone just flew out of the harbor. A large number of Zhou family cultivators lined up in the air to greet them. These Zhou family cultivators have uniform clothes, all embroidered with fire spirit beads and splendid Taoist robes with yin and yang on their backs. In the high sky where the wind is blowing, these Zhou family cultivators are lined up on both sides, with a unique momentum. Congratulations to Patriarch Chen. Congratulations to Patriarch Chen. Congratulations to Patriarch Chen. High in the sky, the singing and harmony of the Zhou family monks echoed in the sky, with a magnificent momentum. In addition to the Zhou family cultivators who welcomed the guests, Zhou Mubai stood in the middle of the queue and looked at Chen Daoxian from a distance. Fellow Daoist Chen, welcome to my Zhou family to observe the ceremony. Fellow Daoist Zhou, your battle is too big, Chen Mao can't bear it. Chen Daoxian immediately led the clan to fly forward, smiled and cupped his hands. The Zhou family made such a big battle, of course Chen Daoxian would not take it too big. Faces are given to each other. Chen Daoxian naturally understands this simple truth. Haha. Zhou Mubai smiled freely when he heard the words, Dao Yu Chen, you are now my #1 person in Sangzhou, so naturally you have to have this battle, please. Please. Chen Daoxian said with a smile. Along the way, Zhou Mubai frequently looked at Luo Li beside Chen Daoxian. A long time. Zhou Mubai couldn't help but said, this fairy seems to be a little nervous. Although he sensed the faint spirit of evil spirits on Luo Li's body, he still felt a little strange. Arguably, to the level of Luo Li's transformation of the demon race, at least it must be the cultivation base of nascent soul. And Zhou Mubai could clearly perceive that the woman in front of him was just a late-stage cultivator of the Z mansion. He would never feel wrong about this. Moreover, Zhou Mubai faintly felt that the woman in front of him was a little familiar, and he seemed to have seen it somewhere. The monks have a good memory. Zhou Mubai pondered for a moment, and finally remembered where he had seen each other, and his expression changed slightly. Fairy is a mermaid? Exactly. Luo Li suppressed the anger in her heart and said forcefully. Zhou Mubai knew the conflict between himself and the mere people, so he simply smiled bitterly and stopped talking. Chen Daoxian smiled and said, this is my Taoist companion. What? Hearing this, Zhou Mubai suddenly looked at Chen Daoxian, his face full of disbelief. Young Daoist Chen is saying. That's right. Chen Daoxian nodded. Half an hour. Only then did Zhou Mubai regain his senses and cupped his hands. Zhou Mao hereby congratulates Dao Yu Chen and Fairy for being of one mind and winning the great way together. Chen Daoxian smiled and cupped his hands, thank you. Hearing this blessing, Luo Li's tense expression suddenly eased. There was a smile on the bowtie's face, and Zhou Mubai felt that the surrounding scenery was a little more beautiful. This woman is so stunning, no wonder fellow Daoist Chen falls in love with her. Zhou Mubai secretly said. Seeing that the atmosphere on both sides was a little dull, Chen Daoxian took the initiative and said, Brother Zhou, who are the families who came to watch the ceremony this time? Jindan Cultivator's tribulation is a rare event. The major immortal clans in Sangzhou basically sent people. In addition, Yuanshan Xiancheng and Taizhou Jiang family also sent people. Oh? Chen Daoxian was slightly surprised. He originally thought that the most people who came to watch the tribulation of Zhou Laozu this time were only Cangzhou cultivators. Although Jindan cultivators are rare to see, their influence is not large enough to attract even cultivators from other states. After all, the distances between the states are long, and maybe by the time the monks from other states rush over after receiving the news, others have already passed the Golden Core Thunder tribulation. Jiang family cultivator and Yuanshan Xianqing both sent people to come, obviously something is wrong. Chen Daoxian knew that these two forces were quite unfriendly. It is rumored that Jinjuan Yuanshan was forced out of Taizhou by the Jiang family back then, and as a result, Jinjuan Yuanshan was also arrogant and established a fairy city near Taizhou. A posture that the old man will not leave. However, the immortal city established by true monarch Yuanshan actually grew bigger step by step, becoming the largest immortal city in the 3 states. This time, Yuanshan Jinjuan had strength and power, but it really gave the Jiang family some headaches. If you want to clean up an unfounded nascent soul loose cultivator, maybe the Jiang family has some means. But it is not so easy to deal with a true monarch nascent soul who has both strength and foundation. The reason is simple. To deal with a nascent soul loose cultivator, the Jiang family can be tough. A loose cultivator, as long as he is not the elder Keqing of Qianyuan Jianzong, even if the Jiang family takes action against him, it can make a lot of waves. But if the Jiang family wanted to deal with Yuanshan Xiancheng, the impact would be completely different. If nothing else, Yuanshan Xiancheng, as the largest immortal city in the 3 states, pays an astronomical sum of taxes to Qianyuan Jianzong every year. If the Jiang family insists, Qianyuan Jianzong will never sit idly by. At that time, the chief family of the Yuaning immortal clan that was destroyed in the past will be the example of the Jiang family. Chen Daoxian and Zhou Mubai looked at each other, and said through voice transmission, "Brother Zhou, what do you think these two families are coming to Cangzhou at this time?" Heard. Zhou Mubai thought for a while, then shook his head and said, "Brother Chen has been thinking too much. No matter how the various immortal clans in Wangxinghai develop, their sphere of influence must not exceed one state. This is an iron law." He paused, with the example of the Qi family in Yuzhou in front. How dare the latecomers dare to take a step forward, and the Qianyuan sword sect is in full swing, do they really dare to rebel? The Qi family in Zhou Mubai's mouth was the Yuanying family that was personally destroyed by the former sect master of Qianyuan Jianzong. The reason is that the Qi family destroyed a small family. Chen Daoxian had forgotten whether this small family that was destroyed was the Qi refining family or the foundation building family. Even compared to the Daonan Chen family back then, it wasn't much better. It stands to reason that a dignified Yuaning family has wiped out such a small family, and it is not even counted as killing an ant. It is impossible for Qianyuan Jianzong to be on the line like this. But the result shocked all the immortal cultivating families in Wanxinghai. The Qianyuan Jianzong actually wiped out the Qi family because of the power of the sect. It is said that some people from the Qi family escaped back then, and some people said that they did not. This is unknown. But the destruction of the Qi family, the overlord of Yuzhou, was a sure thing. Later, the major immortal clans in Wanxinghai remembered that the Qi family was destroyed not because they destroyed a small family, but because they extended their hands outside Yuzhou. This has obviously surpassed the bottom line of Qianyuan Jianzong. When Qianyuan Jianzong divided the immortal clans in various states, it clearly stipulated that the major immortal clans in this state were not allowed to expand their power to other states. Trade is nothing. But the Qi family went too far, and they used their own strength to directly invade other states by force. The little family that was destroyed was just one of them. It's just that they did it with the attitude of declaring the whole state. This time, the Qianyuan sword sect finally seized the handle and completely destroyed it. It was also this battle that made the other great clans in Wanxinghai fear the Qianyuan sword sect like tigers, and did not dare to take a step forward. Even the Chen family was able to survive when they were weak, and was not coveted by other family forces, and it was also by virtue of the remaining power of this battle. As for the reason why Qianyuan Jianzong restricted the power of the families in various states, it was naturally to maintain its dominance. In the final analysis, cultivators still rely on resources. Spirit veins, spirit stones, magic weapons, medicinal pills, etc., all the resources needed in the practice must be guaranteed by a huge sphere of influence. One state can only support 2 or 3 nascent soul true monarchs at most. For example, the Jiang family almost managed Taizhou like an iron barrel, but it was already the limit to support the 3 nascent soul true monarchs and their large clansmen. If you want to give birth to more nascent soul true monarchs, just relying on one Taizhou, the resources are indeed a bit insufficient. This is also the root cause of the Qi family's invasion of foreign states. From the perspective of Qianyuan Jianzong, as long as the major immortal races are limited to one state, their strength can be limited. Qianyuan Jianzong, on the other hand, relies on the entire Wangxinghai, and even a part of the Ayan kingdom, to support itself, and its strength is much stronger than that of the Shouxian family in one state. On the one hand, it limits the strength of the big family, and on the other hand, it strengthens its own strength. Since then, the reign of Qianyuan Jianzong has been as stable as Mount Tai. If there is no external forces intervening or Qianyuan Jianzong's own civil strife, this situation is almost impossible to break. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.